Good morning, everyone. This is January 20th, and the 46th President of the United States has just been sworn in, and that's why I'm a minute late getting down here. The January 20th, 2021 meeting of the City Council is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed, and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being video recorded as well as presented live on KCLV, Cable Channel 2. Please note customers of Cox Communication may view this program in high definition on Channel 1002 and in standard definition on Channel 2. You may also watch this meeting live on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, on the Go Vegas app. The council meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, may be viewed on the internet at www.kclv.tv/live. The proceedings will be rebroadcast, KCLV Channel 2, and the web the Wednesday of the meeting at 8 p.m., also on Friday at 4 a.m., Saturday 7 p.m., Sunday at 7 a.m., the following Monday at 5 p.m. This building is protected by state-of-the-art fire and detection and suppression sprinkler systems. If alarms should activate during today's meeting, please evacuate using the exits at the back of the chambers, go out to the mezzanine, proceed out the double doors to the terrace, and go down the back staircase. For anyone who has difficulty with stairs, please check with a marshal or fire official for assistance. Once outside, please assemble on the northeast corner across the street from City Hall at Lewis and First Streets. Employees wearing safety vests or city marshals will inform you when it's safe to re-enter the building. For public comment related to items on the agenda, citizen participation, and public hearing items, we have available a speaker card which you may complete and submit to the city clerk up front. Cards are available in the clerk's office or at the rear of these chambers. If you do not submit a card, it does not prevent you from speaking under the public comment, citizen participation, or specified public hearing items. If anyone's present today who has need for hearing impaired equipment, please see the city clerk's staff. Please note, if you parked in the parking garage across the street, a self-validation machine is located in the foyer between the council chambers and the security desk you walk through to enter these chambers. You must have your ticket with you to use the machine, but if you do not, see security personnel and exiting for a validation coupon. Before we proceed with the agenda, would everyone please rise for a moment of silence and in your own way, and remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. May peace and good health be with everyone. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment. This is agenda item 5. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. The amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. All comments made will be cross-referenced to those specific items, so if anyone submitted a speaker card or wishes to speak under this portion of the agenda, please come to the podium, state your name for the record. This is your opportunity to address the council, but the council is not able to respond or engage in dialogue. We'll set the time at 1 minute. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Mayor. Quick item, number 30.
Name, please.
Oh, Daniel Braisted, resident. Item 30, and I believe there was another one where we're authorizing money for speed bumps, and to me that's a luxury. We have people sleeping on the curbs. That money could be better spent now, and someday when we're flush again, maybe we can go back to the speed bump business. For now, though, we need to take care of our citizens. Thank you. Please delay.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak under this portion of the agenda? Do we have anyone online, please? Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 6, business items for possible action. Any items from the 9 a.m. session that the council staff and/or applicant wish to be stricken, tabled, withdrawn, or held in abeyance to a future meeting may be brought forward and acted upon at this time. Mayor Pro Tem, if you would handle that, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The first one is items 54A and 54B, 20-0092 SUP1 and 20-0092-SDR1, applicant owner Main Street Investments, 0.4 acres at 1205 South Main Street and 1208 South Casino Center. The applicant has asked that item be obeyed to February 17th, 2021. And then item 55D, 20-0142-SDR1, applicant owner Marlon Johnson, 0.92 acres at the southwest corner of Mountain Trail and Sunset Drive. Applicant has asked that item be withdrawn, and that's my motion.
Thank you very much. Does motion, yes, on the e-comments.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 3 comments on item 54A and B, and I will be sharing the reading with Jeff Delcac, City Attorney. The first one comes from Mario Enriquez and Gergastine Wine Room, also Eric Prado.
And if I might ask our attorney on this, since these items, and we're reading our e-comments, when they've been obeyed till the 17th of February, should our clerk read them now into the record and then again hold them for the 17th or not? Sorry.
Mayor, it's City Attorney Brian Scott. It's your choice. If you'd like to hear them now, they can be incorporated into the record the next time they come back, or you can wait and hold them until you actually hear the item. So it's your choice.
Well, I would say, how lengthy are the comments and how many do you have?
We have 3, and they're less than a page.
Oh, I'd say we could hear them, and
Sure.
then if in fact they have a pertinency to merit holding them and rereading them on the 17th.
Right, or
we'll
the clerk can just indicate on the next agenda that they're going to be incorporated. And Mayor, just when Mayor Pro Tem made his motion, it needs to be either with prejudice or without prejudice, that they were withdrawing their application.
Okay.
Not on this one.
Okay. Generally, it's without, so just so they can bring the item back, but it's your choice.
Okay, without prejudice,
Okay,
then.
thank you.
Okay. So if you'll add that to the,
Okay.
okay.
So the
please.
first one is on behalf of Garagistine Wine Room. The merchant's located at 197 East California Avenue, Suite 140. Until adequate and approved infrastructure with regards to public sanitation facilities, beautification, waste management, clerical, electrical code compliance, sewage code compliance, water code compliance, gas code compliance, SNHD approval and compliance, grease trap compliance, fire code compliance, alcohol control plan approval, crowd control plan approval, noise control plan approval, traffic control, parking control, and ethical oversight of food truck subcontractors are addressed and provided, we are in direct opposition to this project moving forward. We insist that the responsibilities for providing the aforementioned requirements fall on the owner/leaser of the proposed lot site and not fall on any individually licensed food truck or trailer operator due to their transient nature and the inherent difficulties and/or lack of enforcement by proper authorities, ownership, and management of the lot. We insist that the applicant for this project be held to the same exact liabilities and project oversight that any brick-and-mortar business like ours has been held prior to. To allow the project to move forward without parallel requirements would confirm a nefarious loophole in existing standard operating procedures and protocols for approval of any potential food and beverage operation moving forward. The applicant has uncovered this loophole and is all too willing to exploit it for personal gain without regard or respect for the surrounding business. Let it be also recorded that we categorically in opposition to any assumption put forth by the applicant on our behalf. It is our belief that our position on the project has been egregiously misrepresented by the applicant, without our knowledge, potentially to the detriment of ours and surrounding businesses. We have not agreed and will never to providing public use of our facilities to patrons other than our own. We have not agreed and will never to sharing parking in our private lot or in spaces adjacent to our businesses to patrons other than our own, or operators without the express authority to do so. We have not agreed and will never to share the burdens of the aforementioned control codes or compliance in any respect with the ownership, management, subcontractors, or operators of the proposed site. Furthermore, we would like a vote of non-confidence in the ethical business practices of the applicant, ownership, and management of the proposed site be recorded and considered prior to the final project vote. Sincerely, Mario and Eric, owners.
This comment is also on item 54 from Michael Park. Restaurant owners spent $200,000 to $1 million to build out their permanent venue. That investment stays with the neighborhood. It's built into the buildings that are attached to the ground of the neighborhood. These restaurant owners' investments are gifts to the neighborhood and to the broader community as much as it is a tool for them to harvest their livelihood. These restaurants right now are pinched so hard under COVID that some, not all, are really struggling. The proverbial camel's back is straining. Now, if the food trucks are approved, it'll be more straws heaped on the camel's back. A food truck court of the kind proposed is parasitic on the existing businesses and drains them of potential patrons and their income, as some of these patrons who would have gone to the restaurants instead will now spend their money at the food trucks. It's tantamount to stealing from the neighborhood restaurants the very opportunity they created. Why discriminate against food trucks in the Arts District? Because they've no skin in the game. They roll in on wheels today and could be gone tomorrow upon a change in the weather. Unlike the restaurant owners, they've literally given nothing to the neighborhood. Rather, they'll be harvesting some portion of the neighborhood's disposable income, and in doing so, taking it away from the brick and mortar restaurants. They've nothing at risk, and they take from our neighborhood small businesses whose owners have risked everything to open the amenities that make the downtown South neighborhood so vital. We ought to defend our small businesses from such threats, not bring the threats to their doorstep. Some will say that these food trucks will create life and energy in the neighborhood and that anything is better than a vacant lot. Anyone who visited the neighborhood this past weekend knows firsthand that the neighborhood already is lively and energetic and becomes more so with each passing season. And while it's true that vacant lots aren't the most vibrant, though they can become parking lots, something this neighborhood desperately needs, no vacant lot will be vacant long here. Casino Center, the street on which the food truck court is planned, has plenty of project in the works for 2021 to catalyze that block as far south at Colorado. There's even revitalization underway at this moment on Casino Center down to Imperial. Energy and life naturally will be drawn down Casino Center rapidly via redevelopment of brick and mortar spaces for operators who actually contribute to building the long-term fabric of the neighborhood and the community to which it plays host. There's nothing per se intrinsically wrong with food trucks or the good folks who operate them. Many terrific restaurants were born from food trucks. They can be an approachable way to vet a business before launching a brick and mortar location. And a food court can bring action and energy regardless of whether it's an actual food hall or a food truck court. The point, though, is that we ought to consider the health and well-being of the actual stakeholders in the neighborhood, those restaurants that are vested with real and appreciable capital investments in the neighborhood. We ought to consider their needs in this time when F&B venues are struggling greatly and reaching for every opportunity to recover from, quite possibly, their worst year in history. Approval of item 54 only will make our neighborhood's restaurants climb harder and steepen the walls of their hole while offering little or no return of value to the neighborhood. Please vote to deny item 54. Michael Park.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Steve Kessler, and I'm the owner of Mays Street. I hope this email finds you well. I sent you this email to ask you for the support to the food truck community. The reality of a food trailer park can be something of good help for our industry, as we don't have any spaces available to work in an efficient, secure way in the city. It'll mean the world to us if we get your support. Thanks in advance, and have a great day. And that is all.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will move on then to Agenda 7. Do we need a vote on this? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, please may I have a motion? Yes. So-
Correct. He led with the motion, then we read the comments, and now we can vote on the motion.
Okay, thank you. Please vote and please post. The motion passes. Thank you very much. Agenda item 7 for possible action to approve the final minutes by reference to the December 16th, 2020 regular city council meeting. Mayor Pro Tem, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move for approval.
Thank you. This motion to approve the minutes. Please vote and please post. And that motion passes as well. Items number 8 through 41 on the consent agenda are considered to be routine or recommended for approval by the departments, may be enacted in one motion. Councilwoman Seaman, I understand you wish to make a comment on agenda item 8?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This request for an additional $100,000 for Badlands litigation defense will exhaust the entire $500,000 we have budgeted for Badlands litigation this fiscal year. With 5 months left in this fiscal year, any additional funds will have to be drawn from other accounts. Once again, this highlights the need for a resolution. However, while I work towards that resolution, I will vote to approve these funds to defend the city and the taxpayers. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Morning. For the record, Kathy Thomas, Director for the Office of Community Services. I've been instructed to add a correction to items 9, 10, and 11. On the consent agenda, there is an addendum on file with the clerk's office to the budget that specifies which nonprofits in that interlocal that the city's funds can support, and excludes another not-for-profit that is currently under investigation, and we didn't want any of our dollars to go that way. Attachment A is an addendum to that interlocal contract. It is on record with the clerk's office, and I was asked to make that correction that we will not be funding every not-for-profit in that interlocal. Attachment A specifies which organizations will receive city funds.
Okay, any questions, comments from council here on that correction? Okay. Any items council wishes to bring forward, please? Councilwoman Diaz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Not bring forward, but if we could just clarify for the record, for example, during public comment, we just heard about delaying the installation of the speed hump. I understand that we do have many needs that are currently present in all parts of our city, but I know that these funds come from a very specific bucket, and we can't really necessarily take this money from a speed cushion installation and give it for food security, for instance, or for rental assistance. So if our city manager can speak to that matter so that they know that it's not that. And also, the community has been waiting for sometimes several months up to a year to receive these speed cushions too, so it's not something that happens over. So if you could just give us more clarity, Mr. Cervantes, about why we're putting this on the consent agenda.
Thank you. If I might, Mr. City Manager, I'd like to read it for possible action to approve. This is agenda item 30, for possible action to approve the installation of speed humps on Ballard Drive between Burnham Avenue and Eastern, the cost being $14,300 from the Traffic Improvements Capital Project Fund, which is CPF. And this is in Ward 3 with Councilwoman Diaz. So please, if you would, Mr. Cervantes.
Yes, Jorge Cervantes, City Manager, and Mayor, it also pertains to item number 38, which is also for speed cushions on a separate street.
Let me read that
Okay.
one. For possible action to approve the installation of speed cushion on Elton Avenue between Jones Boulevard and Wallace Drive, $5,500. Traffic Improvement Capital Project Fund, CPF. This is in Ward 1 with Councilman Knutson.
Yes, Mayor, through you, through Councilwoman Diaz. You're correct, Councilwoman Diaz. We have a program called the Traffic Management Program, and so that gets funded out of the capital account, not the operational budget. And so this money can only be used under the parameters of that, which includes speed humps and gates, those type of traffic control measures for neighborhoods. And these type of activities, really, we've probably been working on for maybe a year and a half. It starts off with a complaint coming in about speeding. We do traffic studies out there. We look at all the different mitigating efforts, the ones that are least intrusive, the ones that are most cost effective. And so probably this request probably came in over a year and a half ago where we started doing the initial studies and getting everything through. So it's been a long time in the works.
Thank you. And the comment I thought was really very cogent and a good question to be asking and to find out. So thank you for bringing that forward. Are there any other items that council, any members of council would like to bring forward? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, may I have a motion for the consent agenda, please?
I will move to approve the consent agenda items 8 through 41.
Thank you. There's a motion. Please vote and please post. And that motion carries as well. We're on to agenda item 42, abeyance item, discussion for possible action regarding a tavern license for Marinos Enterprises LLC, DBA, Coco's Bar and Restaurant at 1815 East Charleston Boulevard. Ruben Moreno, managing member. This is Ward 3 with Councilwoman Diaz. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So, Mr. Lowenstein, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Good
Peter
morning.
Lowenstein, Deputy Planning Director for the record. As you mentioned, this is an abeyance item. An area concern report was received from Metro on this license on October 2nd of 2020. The license has been operating on a temporary license since October 28th, 2019, with the following conditions. Jose Bahad and Daniel Gonzalez Varela are prohibited from being involved in the business operations. No one under 21 years of age is authorized on the premises. The license must ensure that there's no interior noise that shall be audible from the exterior of the establishment. Licensed establishment must operate in accordance with the submitted security plan approved by the director. Any changes to that security plan must be approved by the director prior to implementation. And the business must report any law enforcement activity on premise within 24 hours of the incident to the City of Las Vegas Business License Division. Such notifications should be in writing or via email or to enforcement at lasvegasnevada.gov. Several negative incidents have taken place over this year that need to be identified, such as on February 1st of 2020, due to undercover operation, cocaine was being sold by staff members to undercover officers, and minors were allowed into the venue with no IDs or were being checked. On August 15th of 2020, a 911 call was placed for police to respond but was disconnected. Reporting officers discovered it was due to an altercation inside the establishment and found underage individuals and some without any ID at all. So none of the patrons were also wearing masks at that time. On September 11th, 2020, emergency closure was issued for 36 hours by Metro Special Investigations Section for COVID-19 violations. These violations were prohibited by the governor's directive in addition to the Las Vegas Municipal Code, and they included nightclub activity, the live entertainment by a DJ, liquor being sold without food, the dancing, and working without work cards and alcohol awareness cards. In addition to that, on November 14th, 2020, field inspection was conducted by a business license section manager, LaTanya Webb, and found the business operating as a nightclub again after the emergency closure and a $1,500 fine were issued. Staff is recommending denial of the permanent business license. If approved, staff has conditions in which I will go over after the deliberation.
And was this not the item that was before us in December?
Yes. This was.
Right, and so we had some lengthy discussion on this item, and you had made some definite commitments, but I didn't know if you wanted to say anything right now before I turn it over to Councilwoman Diaz.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I'd like to point out that there was a recent inspection on Saturday of the establishment, and there was no incidents, no problems. I believe they passed with flying colors. So yes, there have been some problems in the past, but I think proof is in the pudding, and he's come into compliance. He's changed his business model to be a hookah lounge only. It's not a nightclub. The music levels have decreased to come into compliance as well. He's hired new employees, a new manager. And so I think blaming him for the incidents that happened, I believe that's a legacy. If you look at the report towards the end, they're talking about how there were various incidences in the past before Mr. Moreno took over regarding selling drugs. And if you look at the report too, and I think it's highlighted here, is that the employee that was caught selling drugs, She said, please do not tell my boss. Please do not tell them or I'll get fired. Of course this person would. This shows that he's not involved in this, and this is an aberration, and he's made steps to fix this. In fact, if this license is granted, what he plans on doing is getting a bunch of cameras in there so that he can surveil the place 24/7 whenever the business is open to prevent these types of incidences from happening.
Could I have you repeat your name first?
Oh, yeah, Randall Leonard. I'm an attorney. I represent Mr. Moreno.
And was there not also commentary in December you were replacing your security personnel and getting a new security company?
I did, Madam Mayor, and
Your name, sir?
I'm Ruben Moreno, for the record. And I did replace the security guards, and I actually had him trained by an MP, a military police officer, Marcus Goodman, a retired MP police officer, so he could actually, they could do a better job verifying the IDs and keeping a better eye on the establishment. So they had received training, proper training to check for fake IDs. I didn't know some of the tricks that these people have. I mean, it's pretty impressive now that I know how they do actually, and can find out with simple steps how to identify a fake ID. So.
Thank you. Mr. Lowenstein, how did they continue? I remember a conversation we had from here about allowing them to continue to operate, not shutting them down that day. So what was the decision, if you could just refresh it for us, how they have continued to operate until this time?
Certainly. Madam Mayor, they have been continuing to operate during this time. And to substantiate what this individual said, yes, there was an inspection last weekend, and they were found in conformance with the government's regulation and their licensing regulations. So,
Okay. Any comments from council here before I turn it over to Councilwoman? Would you like to hear the conditions, or are you pretty set on what you want to do? Or do you want to hear Mr. Lowenstein's conditions if you have a positive position?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. In the time that we held this item in abeyance, I've talked to Mr. Moreno. My policy still, or the zero tolerance is still there, right? But obviously, he told me he was not aware that employees were doing these activities out of the nightclub setting. His move to shift it to a hookah lounge right now during the pandemic, I think, is wise. Because nightclub settings do tend to bring activity that you just can't stop, right? So your people are going to want to come, have a good time, and it's very difficult to manage folks who want to come and let their hair down at an establishment. So I do appreciate his efforts. I'm glad to hear that he was in compliance this last check-in. And during that conversation with Ms. Moreno, I told him I would give him the benefit of the doubt. I know that this is a privileged license, and that's why I think that we do need to have a zero tolerance for any kind of illegal activity on premises, because it is a special license. Not just anybody gets to have one of these, and I know they're costly, but we have to do what's right by the licenses. So, Mr. Lowenstein, if you can please read the conditions we're looking to approve the license with.
sure, through you, Madam Mayor.
Please.
Councilwoman Diaz, just let me know if there's any modifications to them since our last discussion. Thank you. So if approved, staff has conditions of approval to place on the business license, similar to the ones I read before. Josabad and Daniela Gonzalez Varela are prohibited from being involved in the business operations. No one under 21 years of age is authorized on the premises. The hours of operation shall be limited to 8 a.m. to 11:59 p.m.
Including weekends, is that?
That was the hours of operation. That's
I think
7
that's
days a
per
week.
business licensing, yes, Monday through
That would be,
Sunday?
yes, 7 days.
If I may, if we shut him down.
And again, your name is-
Randall Leonard
so we
on
know.
behalf of Mr. Moreno. At least on the weekends, this is a prime time for these types of establishments between midnight and 3,
Right.
4 a.m.
That's why I asked to have this and...
It would be
and
difficult
discussion.
to shut him down during that. Maybe if a compromise could be made, I mean, we would like to remain open as long as possible, but if a compromise could be made, at least have it open on the weekends.
Councilwoman, do you want to handle this item by item, or have Mr. Lowenstein read them all, and then you
Let's read
discuss?
all of the conditions, and then we can come back to
Good.
the ones that we may
Okay.
have to reconsider.
Good.
Certainly. The fourth condition would be at least one key employee or principal, parentheses, approved for suitability, end parentheses, shall be on the premises of the establishment at all times the establishment is open. Condition number 5, a city and state licensed security company, parentheses, approved under NRS 648, end parentheses, must be contracted to provide security services at all times the business is open. Number 6, there must be a minimum of 3 security personnel on the business premises, 1 monitoring to the exterior parking lot, and 1 stationed at the entrance of the establishment, and 1 roaming the interior. Condition number 7, an improved security plan and floor plan must be on file with Business License Division and must be adhered to at all times. Any changes to the approved security plan must be pre-approved by the director or designee prior to implementation. The security plan must include A, monitoring and control guest activity within the parking lots to prevent guests from parking in adjacent parking lots. B, no interior noise shall be audible beyond the property line where the exterior doors are closed. C, additional security cameras that provide sufficient coverage in the interior of the establishment and all parking lot areas. Number 8, any criminal or violent activity must be immediately reported to Metro at the time of incident. Number 9, the business must report any law enforcement activity on premise within 24 hours of incident to the City of Las Vegas Business License Division. Such notification must be in writing or via email to enforcement@lasvegasnevada.gov. Number 10, business employees or agents may not hinder, obstruct, or delay any officer of the City of Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department from conducting an inspection or investigation. And number 11, a 1-year administrative review shall be conducted from the time of the issuance of the permanent business license. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a question first, if it's all right, Councilwoman, please. Councilwoman Fiore.
Thank you, Councilwoman Diaz. Out of those conditions, which conditions in the middle of this pandemic can actually, like, what can you work with? Out of the conditions he just read, what can you work with and what can you not work with?
Well, the security guards, I have 2 on site all the time. We're at 45 persons capacity. I mean, 2 on site is 1 on the door and 1 inside, and the 1 on the door pretty much keeps an eye on the parking lot. I think that should cover pretty much any security issues. I mean, 2 security guards, it's for 40 patrons, it's pretty much twice as what's normal standard in the industry. I think that's something that if it could be reviewed, that would be great. And the security guards have already been trained by this MP, military police person. If we could just keep them, the persons that we currently have, if we go through a company, it's going to be $20 an hour, $25 an hour. It's just going to make it super expensive. I can actually send the credentials to city council for the person that trained them, and they can give good faith. I mean, all the security guards have to have their sheriff's cards anyways, issued by the police, so they already been background checked. It's not like they're going to be people that we randomly pick from the street. I mean, they do have to have their background check and their sheriff's card. That's one of the items.
Thank you very much. Councilman Creer, you wanted to make comment, please?
I did, Madam Mayor, thank you. Let me just start off by saying that I'm going to support what Councilwoman Diaz wants to do. She's done a lot of research on this, and she has put the time in. But I just have to say, it would just be remiss that if I didn't say, you were on a temporary license, which means that your product is going to be evaluated by this council if you're able to receive the permanent license. In my personal opinion, you haven't earned that right. There were calls on February, back on in August, then in September, and then in November. I mean, how many opportunities do you need to get things right in order you to get your business? And you can only blame other people for so long. I'm a business owner, and at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. It's your business. You're the one that's standing in front of us. You're the one that's on the business license, and it's your responsibility to get the job done. And there are consequences for that. Now, once again, I'm going to support Councilwoman Diaz whenever she does. I'm not sure, is there a way that you could extend a temporary license? Or do you have to either go into a permanent license with a review, or if there's an avenue to extend a temporary license? And I just ask out of
Through you, Madam
for
Mayor.
clarity.
This is actually the second extension on the temporary license, so they're running up against the administrative code that would require the issuance or the denial of the license. There is a caveat underneath the, actually on this agenda for the emergency resolution that will allow an administrative extension of temporary licenses. However, in the standard operating procedure, this would be the last issuance of, this is currently the last temporary license. This would be the point in which the council makes the ultimate decision.
Okay, thank you. But I'll support what Councilwoman Diaz wants to do, and hopefully we won't see you here again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilwoman, I'd just like to give a question to you as you're looking at this, sensitive to how quiet things are at different hours, to require 3 security personnel, because we have asked that he upgrade his security, which he's done, to really dive into that and take a look at the hours when there really is very low population in the facility. And also, again, on Friday and Saturdays to allow an extension of hours. I mean, either if not knowing, and we haven't discussed this, but not knowing if in fact you're going to permit this to move forward, we need to give them the best chance forward, and certainly under the scrutiny which we've already placed the establishment, I just think it would be appropriate, because the rest of the city is allowed an extension of hours on the weekends, to consider that as well. And so the 2 things, look at the hours for the number of security that have to be there, and if there are 1 or 2 people there, to have 3 security at that high cost is challenging. So with that, let me turn this over to you. I think we've asked or made comments.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Lowenstein, can you clarify the difference between the security he currently has and what is mandated by the condition?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So the condition would go beyond what the applicant is stating, that they have 2 security individuals. The 3 security personnel that would be required by conditions, one would be city and state licensed security company would be providing those security individuals. Second, there would be 3 individuals, 1 monitoring the exterior, the parking lot and the rest of the exterior, 1 stationed at the entrance of the establishment, and 1 roaming the interior. And that is the scope of the security guard portion.
So I also read here there has to be an approved security plan. So that approved security plan, will it be contingent upon the city and state licensed security company that needs to be hired?
Through you, Madam Mayor, that would be one component of the overall security plan. The security plan would detail how they would be controlling the different areas, and then what the security officers would be doing. That security plan would be reviewed by our business licensing division.
And Mr. Moreno, what are the hours you're proposing that we be more flexible with you on?
I mean, this is a 24-hour town. I mean, as normally, it gets busy between 10 to 5 o'clock in the morning. That's pretty much closing time. I mean, at 5 we pretty much, if it dies down. So I think that would be super reasonable, and that would help out a lot. I mean, especially with 25% capacity, I'm barely keeping this thing afloat. So that's pretty much, it would be.
So on weekends, we're asking to be open until 5 a.m.? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
What time do you open?
We open at 8 p.m.
All right. I'm just checking really quick what other hookah bars are open to. So I'm seeing other ones open till like 3 and 4 in the morning. Now, Mr. Lowenstein, let me be clear. When they decide to shift their operations from a hookah to a tavern, will these same conditions have to be complied with?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, these are actually the conditions that would be placed on the tavern license. They want to operate as the hookah lounge. This is the tavern component, which allows the alcohol sales. These conditions, yes, would roll into any different other business operation.
And Mr. Moreno, just so I'm clear, what does the weekend entail? What do you define the weekend as?
Thursday through Sunday, pretty much. That would be normal weekend. That's when we're open. Basically, we don't really, we're trying to expand into other days, but right now it's so slow. We just want to maintain a healthy environment, and with 2 patrons there, it's just not even worth it to open it during the week. We'll try something out once this pandemic blows away, hopefully soon. There's some vaccines out there, I hear, so.
Okay. I think that it's important to have the city and state-backed security guards, but I do see that currently it is a little onerous to ask you to have 3. So my flexibility in that vein, in that regard, would be while you're operating as a hookah during daytime hours before 10, you can have 1 security guard. But after 10 p.m., you must adhere to 2 while it's hookah. Now, if you change your business activities and you decide to stray from hookah and go into tavern, then we will require the 3B.
So, I'm not sure if you have been to a hookah bar, but a hookah bar is pretty much it's a bar with the service of hookah, and we do serve food. So, chicken fingers, chicken tenders, all finger food, just to, keep it for the people when they get hungry and stuff. And I do have a question regarding this live music. Is having a DJ having live music, is that considered live music? Because, the DJ is just playing music. For me, live music is someone that's like,
And Mr. Lowenstein can answer that question.
Please, thank you.
Sure, through you, Madam Mayor. So a DJ, incidental, like a background ambient level kind of DJ is acceptable. When it's an actual DJ that's performing, that then branches into the nightclub activity. So ambient DJ music and things like that, that wouldn't trip it into a nightclub category. However, if we're promoting a DJ, or if it's actual instruments and things like that, you're having a non-incidental, non-ambient component.
So, quick question. So, if there's a DJ playing, we're not promoting the DJ, they're just playing background music or ambience music. That's what we've been doing. It's not really considered live entertainment, right? Just wanted to clarify that because it's kind of confusing. I'm still a little bit.
Through you, Madam Mayor. So, if there's DJ music being played and there is dancing that's occurring, then it's not an ambient state where you're sitting at your table and it's just background music. This is then being provided music for dancing, and that form of entertainment falls into the nightclub.
Is that clarity for you, Mr. Marino?
Yes, ma'am. There's no dancing allowed, so we're good in that manner. Thank you.
Okay. And then in terms of the flexibility with the hours, I think I'm comfortable with going to 3 a.m. And then, Mr. Lowenstein, is there any way that after their year, if they've been complying, if they have no calls for service, everything is squeaky clean, is there a way to reconsider those hours?
Yes. So ultimately, yes, through the administrative required review, we will review all of that. We can bring it back forward to council if there's any discrepancies found. The process of amending conditions on the license, there is a process in which we can come back and revisit those.
All right, so I'm amenable to giving you Friday, Saturday, and Sundays up to 3 a.m.
Thank you.
And so those would be my amendments to the conditions. Mr. Lowenstein, are they clear enough at this point?
Yeah, I'm through you, Madam Mayor. I'm just trying to put it together. So the condition number 3 that I read was the hours of operation shall be limited to, and it was 8 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. Now, the hours of operation would be revised. In this particular case, is there any issue with the 8 a.m. to 3 a.m., or is it just specifically Thursday through Sunday, the hours of operation shall be 8 p.m. to 3 a.m.? And then we have to discern
It's up to Mr.
what...
Moreno. If he doesn't really have a use for the daytime, I don't know why we would want.
I do want to have the ability to do something else, maybe during the day. If I think of something that's compliant with the city and, states between regulation, I would rather have the ability to do something instead of just capping myself off, especially these times. I might come up with a happy hour during Thursday through Friday or Monday through Thursday during the daytime. So if we could just keep as many hours as we can, the better. I mean, I'm not saying that and if we start operating during the daytime, I will let you know beforehand and what's the plan so we can, procure getting a little bit more patrons and maybe having a little more money to make up for what's happening right now, definitely.
And if I might, Madam Councilwoman, what concerns me is if in fact that should happen, and right now, I think what you said is one security personnel from 8 a.m. in the morning till whenever. That as that changes, there has to be a consistency of a few days of it. You have more people, you need more security would be my biggest concern. And then from Thursday night to Sunday, through Sunday, I had heard Mr. Lowenstein mention the security would be in the parking lot. And to me, we have a lot of issues ongoing in parking lots. So maybe those active times they have, instead of the 2, that they have 3 personnel. I don't know. It's just the security is the biggest thing that I always look to for the patrons of whatever this is. And if it's starting at 8 or 10, that they would at least have enough security there if the crowds are large enough. But that can all happen.
Can we make the condition contingent on...
To be flexible.
Contingent on, flexibility based on COVID-19 contingencies or directives. So for example, right now, he's only allowed to have 25% of occupancy. Obviously, having 3 security guards might be a little too much, but we need to be flexible and forward-thinking. If now it's scaling to 50% or then eventually 75, 100%, then we need to be able to scale up that security presence. Is there a way to do that in the condition, Mr. Lowenstein, being that we're living in typical times?
The alternate condition that is kind of that I'm muddling around with right now is not necessarily COVID or post-COVID, it's just specific to the hours of operation of the business. So if we revisit those hours of operation, then we can, at that time, revisit the security concern. The revised condition I was looking at was during the hours before 10 p.m., there should be a minimum of 1 security guard. And then during the hours of operation after 10 p.m., a minimum of 2 security personnel should be on the business premises. So from that, I think that's relating what your concession on allowing 1 during earlier hours and 2 during what we would consider prime time.
But I think what we're driving at is like currently there's only 25% occupancy allowed in most establishments, right? And so 2 seems enough under 25%, but what's going to happen when we're back to 75 and 100?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So we do have a one-year administrative review. So if we're estimating the end of a pandemic in a 1 year's time, at that point of the one-year administrative review, we could reevaluate the need for security based on the calls for service, and then also the increase in occupancy capacity.
I think that's fair, Madam Mayor, in the sense that we're going to ask for the city and state licensed security guards, so
Correct.
bring it down to 1 or 2
Right.
now, I think is at least, it's going to be a little bit more, but we want to make sure that we do have a
Right.
safe environment for the patrons that
Right.
are going to be there, that are going to be frequent the lounge, so.
So you'll be communicative, that's all. You'll make sure that you, as if things are changing from the governor and the restrictions, that you'll be in communication to address those issues.
Yes, ma'am. The original business plan that I had, for every 40 patrons, there's one security guard. So
Good.
if I have 160 people there, I'll have more security
Good.
guards than 3.
Through you, Madam Mayor. I mean, there is also the option of, at such time as the restrictions are lifted and occupancy rates increase, 3 security guards are required. I mean, you can build something in just like that. So once these restrictions have been alleviated, 3 would be required.
Madam Mayor, I do have a question for whoever's doing these investigations. I mean, it would be great if these people were arrested and prosecuted, because I haven't seen or heard anything about this, and it's really hard for me to, I mean, I can body search someone all day long, but, they can put stuff anywhere. I mean, I'm not going to be going down through shaking down everybody that goes and works there, or if they would let me know who is doing the stuff so I can just get rid of them, because I don't want that type of people in my business. I mean, I'm not blind to what happens in some of the clubs and nightclub activity or stuff that happens in bars. I mean, because it does happen, but I really don't want it in my premises. So if they could let me know, or they could just pursue whatever they're saying it's happening, and actually made some arrests, that would be great, because that way we'll get rid of the bad people that I don't know they're there. I mean, if they're still there, because I really don't believe that's happening, but if it does happen, it would be great to have some action taken, not just her say or his say. It's hard like this.
Good point. It's a very good point. There should be some training and signage put up that this establishment appreciates its patronage and employees, and here are the conditions of my establishment. Any violation thereof, seek other employment or whatever.
We do have a WhatsApp group, and I did send them all a general message that anyone that would be found doing illegal activities, they would be prosecuted. I mean, but I haven't seen anything, but the actual investigators, I mean, seem to have seen stuff that I don't know.
Or perhaps
I mean, that would be
conversation with
great.
your security personnel as to how this would play out. But I think this is something we're agendized right now and then, and can understand what you're saying, and I do think that needs to be revisited with all of our establishments. What do they do when someone's arrested at their facility and then they just go to another facility? So maybe, Mr. Cervantes, this is something in the security end of things of the establishments in the city. We can help with that.
So Mayor, typically, this is also on City Manager. Typically, if there is an arrest, as they try to go someplace else, they got to get their sheriff's car to go to that place also. So the sheriff's record should reflect any arrest or any charges against anybody as they try to go some other place. So they would have that difficulty of trying to get that job.
Waitress doesn't necessarily need a sheriff's card. Sorry to interrupt.
I think what it is, it's what we're trying to do is get a form and format, open communication where you can be assured that whatever's happening to somebody you are letting go or who's been detained, that there is some law enforcement result to what happens to them.
Madam Mayor, I think what he's driving at is that there's a lack of communication between him and the police, and he would like to have that, and maybe that's an issue for another forum, but I totally understand. This report gets made, and he's unaware of the criminal history that's gone on. He's basically, it's hard for him to deal with it, and perhaps maybe an outreach between the police and business owners would be more effective in stopping these types of activities.
Yeah. Well, I think we're sensitive to it, and I just asked Mayor Pro Tem, who has had 29 years in law enforcement here, and his comment was, would you repeat what you said to me, please?
Well, the city manager's correct. They would have to get another sheriff's card at that particular business, and when they do the background check, that arrest would come up, and then that would be part of the investigation, so that information's available.
I'm sorry, Mayor, but waitresses are not required to have a sheriff's card. Waitresses are not. They are required to have a time card, but not a sheriff's card. That's just for security and the bartender. Okay. So any waitress or people that the janitorial job or something else, cook, they're not required a sheriff's card. And but the point I'm trying to...
Well, what I'm going to do, because this is taking up great time, and we're really about what's agendized here, so what I'm going to do is ask Mr. Cervantes, as our city manager, to look into this pervasively for the city, and what do people do, and how can we open up the lines of communication and what's suggested. So I think in particular, your case is going to be just a perfect case for him to take forward and try to help situation with this. So if you would, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So Mr. Lowenstein, just read those quick amendments. I don't think you need to repeat all the others. I think those already stand on the record, but go ahead and read the retweaked ones so that I can make my motion.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I just want to make sure we got the hours operation clear for the Monday through Wednesday portion versus the Thursday through Sunday portion. It's the Monday through Wednesday is at 8 a.m. to 11:59 p.m., and then the Thursday through Sunday is from that same 8 a.m. in the morning to 3 a.m. as being the maximum hours. Okay, so the hours of operation shall be limited to on Monday through Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 11:59 p.m., and on Thursdays through Sundays from 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. That was the first amendment of the condition. And the second one, regarding security officers, if during the hours of operation before 10 p.m., there must be a minimum of 2 security personnel on the premise. Before 10 p.m., there must be a minimum of 1 security officer on premise. During the operations from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., there must be a minimum of 2 security personnel on the premise, 1 stationed at the entrance of the establishment, and 1 roaming the interior and exterior common areas.
And so with that, Madam Mayor, I move to approve.
And Councilwoman, if I might,
Yes.
Jeff Dork, Deputy City Attorney, can we get a concurrence from the applicant or his representative
yes.
that they're in agreement with those conditions and the amendments?
Randy Leonard on behalf of Mr. Moreno, he's in agreement.
Very important part. Thank you.
A date, when is the review? A date from today?
Oh, yes, the annual review.
A year?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I previously stated, it's a 1-year administrative review shall be conducted from the date of issuance of the permanent license. So that clock will start once it gets through the administrative process.
Madam Mayor, if I may intervene, is there any way to shorten that period of review? Because let's say these code restrictions go away, because I'm thinking they're going to go away pretty soon. And we do want to extend our hours of operation, and if we're capped at a year, a year is a long time. So if there's any way we could do the review, I don't know, sooner, that'll be great.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just to clarify, the applicant can make a request through our department prior to that 1-year required review. The required review is to check, basically to look over the security plan, and what the calls for service and things like that. The applicant can make a request of us, and then we will facilitate from there.
I'd like to keep the 1 year just because we don't know what's going to happen with our health situation, the virus, how long we will get back. We don't know how long we'll be up to speed. So I'd rather, out of caution, just keep it a year, and you can be in touch with our folks in business licensing if you want to ask for extension of your operation hours. If you've been on a 6-month and everything's panning out, then they will hear that and they'll kind of analyze it and they'll administratively authorize it. You don't need to come before us.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Is that accurate, Mr. Lowenstein?
Just to clarify, a condition placed on the license by the council, I may have to bring it back before you.
Before us.
For
Okay.
it, but we'll definitely give you a recommendation on what's occurred during that time period.
What's transpired?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So just so that you know, this is an open communication, so at any time, things happen with the restrictions on the city or anywhere else, and you're finding an opportunity for change, her door is always open, and certainly planning is always available. So it is a flexible time and a good time, let's hope.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And so your
Right.
motion?
Yes, it's to go ahead and approve the license, the permanent license with all of the stated conditions into the record.
And which you accept.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Please vote and please post. Good luck. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to agenda item 43. Boards and commissions, discussion for possible action regarding the reappointment of members to the Community Development Recommending Board from the following list of nominees: Carmen LaShawn Miller, my designee, Terry O'Rourke, David Marlin, Mac McKnight, Ward 1, Laura J. Bruno Walsh, Ward 2, Patricia Haddad and Erica Washington, Ward 3, Terry Janison, Ward 4, Wesley Harper and Sidney Sales, Ward 5, and the appointment of nominees Ignacio Prado, Ward 3, Richie Box, Ward 5, and Jimmy McKee, Ward 6. The procedure for this board is the appointment by the mayor and city council. Office of Community Service recommends the aforementioned reappointments and appointments, and that's my motion. Would you please vote on that? And would you post, please? And that motion carries as well. We'll move on to agenda item 44, recommending committee bills eligible for adoption at this meeting, bill number 202039. Councilman Anthony, would you like the bill read?
Yes, Mayor.
Bill number 2020-39, an ordinance to amend LVMC Chapter 6.50 to establish a new alcohol delivery support service alcoholic beverage license category, together with associated requirements and limitations, expand the categories under which a business can exercise an ancillary alcoholic beverage license, and provide for other related matters. Mayor, when you'd like, I can kick this item off with the chart that was just brought up on the display to get the council prepared to vote.
Well, let's go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Jeff Dorkek, Deputy City Attorney for the record. This bill, which essentially expands alcohol delivery in the city, went to recommending committee for 3 public hearings, and the members of that committee, MPT Anthony, Councilman Knutson, and Councilwoman Fiore, took a lot of public comment. They had a lot of questions, and they got a lot of feedback. Nevertheless, obviously, the bill is here today with no recommendation. But because we took so much information in a recommending committee, I wanted to provide a concise and clear roadmap of what this bill does to the 4 other members and to the entire body, obviously, before they proceed today. So with that, I'm going to turn to this chart that we drafted, which will give you an idea of where we are in the Muni Code and where we would be if this bill passes. So I'm going to start in the upper left, and I'm going to weave my way down snake-like. So which establishments can offer alcoholic beverages for delivery currently? Now, caveat, none of this takes into consideration the temporary COVID measures. This has to do with our city code that will be obviously in the code beyond COVID. So I'm going to keep it there. So currently, any grocery store with a packaged liquor license and an ancillary license can offer alcoholic beverages for delivery. This bill would change that to any business that sells alcoholic beverages for off-premise consumption and has an ancillary license. So you would need, under the current code and under the new bill, 2 licenses, but obviously there would be more businesses able to offer alcohol for sale. Who can deliver those alcoholic beverages? Currently, because grocery stores are the only business that can offer alcohol, they are also the only business that can deliver alcohol. No third parties can deliver currently. If this bill passes, the businesses that have those 2 licenses needed to offer alcohol for sale, they can deliver the alcohol, or a new component, third-party delivery companies can then contract with the businesses and deliver the alcohol from the retailer to the consumer. Currently, under the code, alcoholic beverages can be delivered anywhere in the city from the grocery stores as long as there are groceries involved with the order. Under this bill, as drafted, the delivery can happen anywhere in the city. So those are the basics in terms of where we are and what the bill would do. As the recommending committee knows, we heard a couple versions of amendments proposed based on a lot of public feedback. And both of those versions are also in front of you, but the changes are relatively straightforward, and I've reduced them here. Under version 3, delivery would be limited, or would be allowed anywhere in the city except non-restricted gaming parcels. An alternative version, version 4, only allows delivery to residential properties. So those would be some amendments that the council right now could kick around if they wanted to include in the motion. In addition, between yesterday's recommending committee and today, I know we've received some feedback from stakeholders who suggested that with the version 3 amendment prohibiting delivery to non-restricted gaming, we should also add a prohibition prohibiting delivery to businesses that already have an alcohol license. In other words, we just make it clear to these third-party deliverers or the businesses that are offering delivery themselves that you cannot take alcohol to a business that has alcohol, like a restaurant or another bar, something like that. So that's an idea that's out there, and that could be incorporated into either version 4 or version 3 amendments. But that's the high level, but the basics that I think everybody needs to kind of go forward with it. Obviously, I'm available for questions along with Mr. Perigo, Mr. Cervantes, and Mr. Lowenstein for business license and planning. We took public comments at recommending committee. We aren't required to take public comments during this item, although I did notice we have some familiar faces in the audience, so that's to your discretion as usual, Mayor. But with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Could I just ask a question before we go into the public comment on this? This idea, this area idea, that can be inserted into version 3 or 4?
Residential.
We're talking about the...
We actually wouldn't need it in 4. We could put it with 3, which would then prohibit non-gaming delivery or non-restricted gaming delivery and parcels or premises with an alcohol license. We wouldn't need it in 4 because 4 restricts delivery to residential only. Obviously, no businesses could get delivery under version 4 anyway.
And do you, I hate to ask this because you ask for a definition, you open a can of worms. But in version 4, how do you define residential property? Is that a temporary residence in a motel, that there's no restaurant serving? Is it an apartment that you have rented for 3 months or something? What is the definition? It's always in planning. What's the definition?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Peter Lowenstein, Deputy Planning Director for the record. So in this ordinance, it's actually described as single-family, duplexes, and multifamily. So any of those types of residential dwellings, so that could be an apartment, condo, a duplex, or a single-family dwelling, either detached or attached, is what is contemplated as being a residential property.
With no time limit. I'm watching Mr. Scott behind you, which to me
no, it doesn't indicate a
has
time
no
limit.
time limit on the residence. So if you rent it for a night, it qualifies?
This would allow for a short-term rental to have a delivery
Thank you.
come to
Okay.
it, yes.
Okay, so let's have any comments, questions, please, Councilwoman Seaman.
Yeah, with version 4, would this now cut out caterers who are bringing alcohol to businesses, establishments for weddings, et cetera? I have a real problem with 4 in case somebody is having some sort of event or wedding, and now we can't have a third party deliver their alcohol. Whereas I think with version 3, when I think we solved the problem when we allow third party deliveries without, with the exception of businesses who have alcohol. So I would probably support 3 with those amendments. With 4, I think we're going to run into a lot of issues down the line. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, would you like me to answer the initial question there?
Yes, take them as they come, because I think it's been a little confusing, and what exactly are we doing? Yes.
To Councilwoman Seaman's question, the answer would be the caterer could still deliver under the caterer license. A third-party deliverer or a business that just sells alcohol would not be able to show up at a business and drop off alcohol if they were having a party. To provide some other factual background from yesterday's recommending committee, to be frank with the council, obviously, version 4 seemed like it was less desirable than 3 for the reason expressed by Councilwoman Seaman, which was the limitation on delivery to businesses that would result from version 4 only allowing residential delivery. So that's where we were yesterday.
And that does preclude delivering to office buildings and everything else?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. Councilman Anthony, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a comment because I sponsor this ordinance. So it was many, many months ago. I have to look up how long ago, 6 months, a year. Some folks came to me and said because of these COVID restrictions on businesses, all these businesses are trying to survive. They're trying to come up with different ways to make money and stay afloat and stay profitable and not close their doors. And one of the ideas that they had was if a business had a license to sell, as it says here, alcohol beverages for off-premise consumption, they would like to have the opportunity for people to call them and order these beverages and have them delivered. But it's expensive to hire somebody to do that, and since these third parties are delivering all over the place, Amazon, whoever, they wanted the opportunity to hire a third party to deliver alcohol to somebody who wanted it. And it was the main crux of it is somebody at home that wants a 12-pack of beer delivered to their house would be able to do that, and that person gets the delivery, the business makes a little bit of money, helps them stay afloat. So I decided to sponsor it, and we've held these public meetings, and really the only issue that came up once we drafted the original ordinance was the non-restricted gaming section, and I hadn't thought of it, nobody else did, and it was a valid point that you don't want these hotel casinos allowing the people staying in the hotel rooms to order up a bunch of booze delivered to their hotel when they can purchase it on property. And that caused some headache for them, and it was a valid concern. So we amended it under version 3 where they could not deliver to a non-restricted gaming license. And when we the commercial part only came up because we looked at a version 4, which was just delivering to residential, but that didn't end up working out for me. I don't think version 4 is a good idea. It was just something that was thrown out there to kind of take a look at it. And that's when this commercial property came up. And Councilwoman Seaman's right, and the example was if some office complex wants to have a birthday party and they want to order a couple of bottles of champagne, then it can get delivered and the third party can do that. So really to simplify it, what we have here is an ordinance where a business can contract with a third party. They don't have to contact with a third party. They don't have to do deliveries. They could actually hire their own person to do it if they wanted to. But they could contract with a third party and deliver to people in the city of Las Vegas, except for the unrestricted gaming properties. And when we had our recommending committee meeting yesterday, we I don't recall anybody coming up to the podium and opposing the ordinance or version 3. Everybody seemed to be in agreement that this is a good idea. We should keep the unrestricted gaming properties out of it. And that was we've had all positive comments at our recommending meeting yesterday for this particular ordinance. So I know you're going to have public comment, but that's kind of where I'm today. I'm in favor of the ordinance. I'm in favor of version 3. I think it allows our businesses to expand if they want to expand during these tough times. And it takes the unrestricted gaming properties out of any situations that may be bad for them. So that's where I am, and I'd be glad to listen to everybody else.
Great, thank you. I mean, I think this dialogue's really important. My only concern, I'm going to hear from council, was we're all in survival mode at 25%, and I'm looking to the small businesses that the city sadly has seen so many of them lose out, but I see the restaurants that pay the license fee to have bars in their restaurants, and I think they need to be protected. Any with a bar, they should be subject and excluded, as are these non-restricted gaming. But that's my suggestion, only because of the fact with reduction to 25% capacity, they can't raise the price on the food but $1 or $2, so they make their money on their drinks. And so for having any competition there, to me, that's just unfair to the small restaurants. So I would like to have any alcoholic licensed bar service be included with that. But open to discussion, because I think it's wonderful. We have such a diverse feeling and bring up such good ideas. And I am going to hear, we have a card from Virginia Valentine, our former city manager, wherever you are. I don't see you, but there you are, way back there. Talk about distancing. And then we have Ryan Sachs. And where are you, Ryan? Way also back there. And Bob Gronauer, where are you? Okay, well, whatever, whoever's coming will. So let's go forward, and let's start right there with you, Councilwoman Fiore, your comments. I know you're on the committee recommending, and so is Councilman Knutson, so please go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I am all for businesses, especially through this pandemic, to be able to get creative, and especially with the 25%, we don't know how long this is going to be, and but I have concerns. I've had concerns about this bill from the beginning. There's a lot of variations. I want to definitely make sure, as Madam Mayor said, that we make it permanent to where our restaurants can deliver. I know Michoacan is in my ward, and when I'm in the mood for Mexican food and a margarita, they can deliver it. It's fabulous. It was a great bill that you guys did. But I'm concerned with this particular bill because a couple of our staple alcohol establishments, our liquor stores that are actually selling liquor, are very uncomfortable with it, and they have not seemed to get to a point where they are comfortable with it. And so until I feel like everyone that will be affected by this is comfortable, I really can't support it. And that's where I'm at.
Okay. Conversation continues, and we will hear from the public. So, Councilman Knutson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I just want to, thank Mayor Pro Tem Anthony for bringing this forward. I think it's a great continuation and a lesson learned from COVID, because the emergency resolution that we did created lots of opportunities for businesses, and this ordinance extends that. And I'm excited about it because of, one, there's a couple of bars that have already reached out to me who are excited about this. They have the appropriate licenses now and are looking to expand their business through this ordinance. I've had many conversations over the last couple of months on this particular ordinance. The first concern was being able to deliver to non-restricted gaming. So I think version 3 cleans that up with excluding non-restricted gaming from delivery. When version 4 was produced, I think last weekend, there was several people reached out to me with the burdensome nature that version 4 would create for both the city and for third-party deliverers or anybody else. If they have to look up parcels for commercial versus residential, or if they have to look up an alcohol, a business that has an alcohol license, it creates an extra burden, which would eventually hurt that smaller business. And so I would not be supportive of version 4. I think version 3 is the compromise that everybody has been looking for. And in all the public comments we had during the recommending committee, version 3 was very consistent. Everybody was comfortable with excluding non-restricted gaming. And I think I could take it a step further. I think we need to do some cleanup language with the grocery stores and also exclude non-restricted gaming from grocery stores. And in speaking with representatives from the grocery stores, they're comfortable with that as well. So there's consistency. This particular bill is important because I think it sets a precedent for other jurisdictions to follow. And so I think we'll be consistent in our thinking around excluding non-restricted gaming from any kind of alcohol or food delivery, alcohol delivery from a third party or otherwise, and then setting a precedent for other jurisdictions in our valley to allow for some of these smaller businesses who do want to deliver, giving them that opportunity. So I am very much in support of version 3, and I appreciate the opportunity to have so much dialogue around what's best for our community. Thanks, Mayor.
Wonderful. Councilwoman, did you want to make comment before I go to public hearing?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The way I understand through Mayor Pro Tem's comments is that businesses came to seek flexibility in times of COVID and to offer them the ability to expand their business opportunities because of COVID. I'm already thinking post-pandemic, because if we adopt this ordinance, this will be our law for the city. This is what everybody is going to have to adhere to. And I'm just a little concerned that just like single sales created an issue for us in the city and then we had to come back and rectify it, I don't know if it's wise for us to, I love that we have the flexibility currently in our city through the emergency ordinance, and we're allowing people to do different things during the time through our emergency ordinance, but I'm a little concerned about how far and who can then deliver to Councilwoman Fiore's point. What are we doing to the brick and mortar alcohol stores that are solely dedicated for this purpose? And I think it puts them in a really difficult situation. I'm thinking about every potential business in my district that now has the ability to deliver alcohol, and what are the public safety concerns that can arise from that. We know that we've heard through RTC that there's been a lot of more accidents because people have been under the use of different things. And so we have less traffic, but we're having more accidents on our roadways. And so I'm just trying to think about unintended consequences that sometimes spring up because we adopt something quickly. And I'm thinking allowing a lot of people to deliver alcohol, I don't know. I'm already thinking of the potential public safety side effects that can come from allowing too many folks to offer the service. And also, what's the onus on whether it be the delivery company or even the alcohol provider of how do you do the accountability piece, I guess, is what I'm saying. I'm already thinking of how we're very good at manipulating situations and kids that are underage potentially trying to get alcohol. And so there's a myriad of concerns I still have about what's the process, how do we ensure we're taking care of everybody that needs to be taken care of with the right balance and the right approach. So that's kind of where I am, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. No, good conversation, good points. Okay, let's please, we'll open, oh yes, Councilman Creer, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I am in support. I had a similar ordinance that was going parallel with Councilman Anthony's, and I think that we haven't had issues with the delivery, and I worked with those big box stores, the big liquor stores, on the start of the pandemic to help get them to be able to get delivery because it was a huge burden on, they were allowed to do pickup, and then they were getting burdened, and so take it to the next level to work on delivery. And there doesn't seem to be an issue. If you go to California or some other places and you're at your home and you want to order something, they bring it to you. I've had family that live there that have done it, and there doesn't seem to be an issue. And I think that version 3 seems like the version that makes the most sense. And I don't, look, if you're going to go to a big box liquor store, you're going to go to a big box liquor store, specifically to get what you want to get. If you are a bodega, for lack of a better term, and you live downstairs from some place around the corner, you want to order something, and that's just a different experience. And I don't know if the two coincide together. And so I am in support. I think it will expand and allow businesses to maybe reach a different market, and they'll be held accountable. And I think we should move forward with it. Thank you.
Before we go to the public comment, I'd like you to persuade me why, and this is to anybody who is for this as it is, how do we protect the small restaurant that serves liquor from having deliveries made there to a customer? I just want to protect small business, and if they're paying, what is the fee that is paid for having an alcohol license in a restaurant? What's that?
Right.
It's like $75,000.
Yeah, the liquor license.
A liquor license.
But Mayor, keep in mind that
how do we
right now, and let's say you had a special anniversary and you wanted to a special bottle of wine that you and Mayor Oscar have had for a number of years, and you're going to crack it for a special evening, but you also want to go out to dinner. You can contact the restaurant. The restaurant still has to allow you to open that alcohol in the restaurant, number one. And then many restaurants will charge you a corkage fee for that if they allow it. Usually if you know the person there, they will probably allow you, but they might not allow you. So they still have to allow you to have alcohol on premise. You just can't walk in with a bottle and open it up.
So what you're saying is they're already protected?
They are already protected, yeah. And so I understand your point, but it's not quite valid in that particular situation, because you just can't walk in any restaurant and open up a bottle of wine or open up a scotch or something. You have to get permission. They have to allow you. And so we are covered from that.
Okay. I just want to be sure that
valid point
is fact, and that we are who cares, just for argument's sake, whether, I don't even know whether La Thai has a full bar or Esther's Kitchen.
Mayor, Jeff Dorkak down here. If you wanted a concurrence on what Councilman Creer said, he's correct. The bottom line with the restaurants would be, or any facility for that matter, you can serve alcohol that you're licensed to serve. You need to take possession of it, like the councilman said. If you can't have liquor, you can't have liquor delivered to you and then handed out. So that's business license issue number one. Second would be, we expect our businesses, and I think Councilman also alluded to this, we expect the businesses to control their operation. They should know what's coming in and out. So in terms of an argument, like you asked for, going the other way, that's what it would be, what Councilman Creer laid out. I'll just put it out just for, because you brought it up. On the other hand, you could make the argument that we want the third-party deliverers to have some responsibility, and the only way to do that would be to explicitly prohibit them. But that's obviously for the council's decision. Do they, in weighing the deliverers having some responsibility of not going to those properties, or just the reality that those businesses shouldn't be having delivery anyway? So.
Well, in follow-up to that, too, to me, the delivery service, that's between, that's a private-to-private involvement. We are city and public. So what I'm concerned with, again and always, are these small businesses and protecting them, especially in a time where they're only allowed to serve 25% of their capacity. And so you can't charge so much for food, so maybe they're going to do it through their alcohol sales and letting those people linger longer at the table. before the turnover. I just want to protect the small businesses, and to me, this is a good area, and they're paying $75,000 for their license, and now, you know, so they have a manager, a relief manager, and they'll bring it on in. He only likes Bombay Sapphire, and he will not drink whatever other gin that's there. So it is really only to protect these small businesses that are licensed to sell alcohol in them, and to protect it. The rest of it, I am in total agreement, but I need to get my arms around this one, that we're not putting these small businesses that have licenses to sell alcohol at risk.
Madam Mayor, if I can, the small businesses in Ward 1 have reached out in support because it gives them the opportunity to get beyond that 25% right now and serve a different audience. A different audience would be, for example, my husband's law firm, who regularly orders in dinner. If they have the opportunity to purchase food and drink from a small business, they are going to do that. And I think that's the opportunity the small businesses will see in this. I haven't heard at all that they think of it as a threat, because it is not going to.
I don't think it's the order out to the resident or party, wherever it is. It's eating in the establishment of the restaurant. That delivery should not be made to any restaurant that serves alcohol and has a full bar. You're taking money out of their pocket. But if your barber shop wants to have dinner delivered and alcohol with it of any kind, who cares? Go for it. That's what this allows, which is terrific. So, I mean, of the two, I love the three. And anything about the delivery service, that's up to the primary business. It's hiring a delivery service. That's up to them. They either hire their own personnel to deliver, or they contract with a delivery service. I think that's private to private. So I agree with your comment, and I agree with that entirely. Yes.
Madam Mayor, so right now, today, without this ordinance, our restaurants, I'm a big Amazon person. I can get on Amazon, go to Whole Foods, order food, wine, it gets delivered. Restaurants can deliver alcohol, all of this. What the concern is with our stapled alcohol services here is now any person that sells a packaged liquor, like I'll say a gas station or 7-Eleven.
Fine.
You can now, with this ordinance, basically order a $4.99 bottle of Beringer White Zinfandel will be delivered probably up to $20 with all the delivery, because it passes down to you. What the concern is for our stapled businesses is it's for them operating right now at 25%. It just opens it up, and the licensings that they have are very different than these other licensings with alcohol establishments. So it's not so much the restaurants. Everything that's in place now with our grocery stores and our restaurants, I want that to stay permanent. It's amazing. This is affecting our stapled liquor stores. That's who is upset with this right now.
Okay, I get that. Okay, let's open our public hearing, and anybody jump in, any questions you have. So just please come up and state your name. Hi.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I'm Virginia Valentine with the Nevada Resort Association. I want to say first off, we appreciate all the hard work that your staff, Mr. Stevenson, Ms. Summerfield, I got that backwards, Ms. Stevenson, Mr. Summerfield, and the City Attorney's Office have put into drafting. I think some of you have articulated the reason that we feel that it's very important to have a prohibition for delivering to non-restricted gaming licensees. We are tasked with knowing who has alcohol on our properties. It's part of our restricted gaming licensing. We also have the responsibility for security on property, additional deliveries, congestion, right, security. I think you're familiar with the issues. I do want to say that we're not so much concerned about who is doing the delivery, but we are looking for a wall-to-wall prohibition on delivery to non-restricted locations. I haven't seen version 3, but it is my understanding that this only would prohibit deliveries to non-restricted locations by this new category of licensee, this third-party alcohol service support delivery licensee. So this is not indeed a prohibition on delivery to non-restricted locations. We would ask that you do make that prohibition upon any deliveries to a non-restricted location. It's my understanding possibly that the way this has been posted and the way the business impact statement was conducted, it might not be possible to do that in this bill. But if it is, of course, we'd love to see that. But if not, we wouldn't oppose this bill provided that we can get some kind of assurances that you would consider a bill in the future to give us that wall-to-wall prohibition.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Since we are agendized, as we are, Mr. Scott, a response, if you could, on this, even though it's public comment, I'd like to hear about the future as this moves forward to Ms. Valentine's request, that later on it could be restricted.
Mayor, for the break. They don't want to turn me on here. City Attorney Brian Scott. And with any bill, like with any bill, Mayor, you're able to make amendments at any point in time that you see fit on behalf of the city or what's in the best interest of the city. I think today we're agendized for just these two versions, but I think you're able to make any kind of comments with regard to any amendments you'd like to make with regard to this, with this bill, so.
Mayor?
Yes, please, Mayor Pro Tem.
At yesterday's recommending, Councilman Knudsen indicated that he would take up what Ms. Valentine is talking about, and once he gets his information together, possibly sponsor an ordinance that would deal with what you're talking about. Yeah. So that was
you
up.
would have no comment, I mean, no contrary comment on that then? You would be in agreement with what is being
I'm in
asked?
agreement, and
Okay.
Councilman Knudsen said he would explore sponsoring an ordinance to deal with it. So I just wanted to make, because not everybody was at recommending yesterday, so just want to put that on the record.
Okay,
Great. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, we have Ryan Sachs and then Bob Gronauer, or, there he is, okay.
Good morning, Ryan Sachs for the record, 1835 Village Center Circle. I'm here representing our clients Instacart, Amazon, and Shipt, which is an affiliate of the Target Corporation. Each of these companies are already operating in the city of Las Vegas, delivering groceries on behalf of virtually all the grocery stores in Las Vegas. They've already conducted over hundreds of thousands of grocery deliveries. They've found that their customers are looking for alcohol to be included in their groceries, just to give them the customers the convenience of not needing to order a grocery delivery and then need to go back out to the grocery store to get their bottle of wine. They are already also delivering alcohol on behalf of grocery stores in jurisdictions outside of Nevada throughout the United States, and have done so safely without any violations or health concerns or whatnot. We greatly appreciate Mayor Pro Tem Anthony's leadership on this ordinance and all of staff's hard work putting this together. We want to point out that this ordinance would actually support the brick and mortar locations. The existing grocery stores are looking to have to decrease their own costs by allowing them to outsource their delivery services at a lower cost, which would also lower the cost to the customers, because those costs tend to be passed down, as Councilwoman Fiore did mention. We also wanted to mention that delivery, actually, to address Councilwoman Diaz's concerns, delivery of alcohol has been shown to decrease DUI issues because you reduce the chances of somebody driving to the liquor store and instead it being brought directly to where they're going. This ordinance, as staff has introduced, as drafted it, has strict alcohol security policies for these delivery companies that require IDing and training that we believe would be very safe. So we think that this would be helpful. There's no, the reason that we support version 3 of this bill regarding the hotel exclusion is because we understand the concerns from the hotel industry that it would be difficult for them to police and monitor deliveries coming into the properties. This would be different than a restaurant, which would have full control, as has been discussed, over what's coming in and out, and it would not be manageable for these companies to determine which businesses have liquor licenses or do not have liquor licenses. So we strongly support version 3 as it's drafted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Good morning, Your Honor, members of the council. My name's Bob Gronauer, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. I'm here representing Albertsons. And I'm also here I guess Jennifer Lazovich is not here today, so I'm actually going to be pinch hitting for her. As I mentioned yesterday at the recommending committee meeting, the irony is many years ago, I represented Albertsons before the current council at that point in time to come in for an ordinance to allow for delivery of alcohol to homes. And the city of Las Vegas was one of the first jurisdictions that we were able to get that accomplished. So the irony is now, many years later, I'm standing here not only pinch hitting for Jennifer, but still representing Albertsons. That being said, I could read the tea leaves with everybody's comments. And as we mentioned yesterday, we are in support of version 3. It makes sense. We understand the restriction of not delivering to hotel casinos. We're in support of that. We're in support of third-party deliveries also. Version 4, we are not supportive of it. As Councilwoman Seaman has pointed out, there are offices and businesses that do have some special occasions, like our law office. We do, at times, order food and alcohol for our employees for little special occasions. Version 4 would prohibit you from doing that, so we'd ask you not to support version 4. So with that being said, I want to thank all the council members for putting all the time in and your staff, and we'd ask you then to approve version 3, but not version 4.
Thank you. Yep. And in fact, Mrs. Lazovich made her calls yesterday. So
I know. I'm just the second guy in charge.
You're wonderful, but you're not as pretty.
And believe me, she's been texting me everything, what to say and not to say. So there you go. Thank you.
Wish her well.
Yes.
So any other comments, please come forward and state your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Derek Stonebarger.
Everybody knows you. You're on TV all the time.
Sorry about that.
No, it's good. Your boards look beautiful, whether you're painting them or changing them up or down.
Yeah, I think
It's
they were just looking for a story this week. So, my name is Derek Stonebarger. I live at 1240 8th Place downtown in John S. Park, and I am a limited tavern license holder. I have 2 businesses on Main Street, Rebar and Davies. I think it's great that you guys have put this together, seriously. For small businesses like mine, this, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not even sure if we're gonna do it, if we're gonna take advantage of it. We're gonna kind of see how it works, but we're not always like that. Sometimes we jump right in and create a whole new system, like we did in April of 2020 when we were all shut down, and then you guys gave us the opportunity to try to save our business and actually sell some license to through a drive-through curbside pickup model, which we did successfully. I just wanted to put in a couple thoughts out there. I just wanted to make sure that sheriff cards, which we talked about earlier, there was an applicant who said that his cocktail waitresses and stuff didn't need a sheriff's card. Responsible tavern owners sometimes have everyone get a sheriff's card. We have everybody get a sheriff's card at my businesses. We do that kind of just so that we're on record of what they have to write down if they have any arrests or felonies. So I would suggest that anyone who works for a delivery company, they should be sheriff card holders. I don't know if that's part of this, but and what that does is it also makes, like in my industry, the bartender is ultimately responsible if they sell to an underage person. They can lose their license, they can lose their sheriff's card. Same thing should happen with a delivery driver. They should be responsible to check the ID and make sure that this isn't going to somebody who didn't order it, especially with an illegal credit card or an illegal ID. That was one problem that we did have when we were selling curbside, is we had a few transactions where people gave us basically stolen credit cards or disputed the charge later. So that can happen with residentials. I will tell you that there's one thing about the packaged liquor store, or the huge liquor stores. My friend, I used to make Lee's Discount Liquor commercials. I know Kenny Lee, Mr. Lee, real well. One thing that they have an advantage that small businesses like I don't is they can buy in bulk. If Lee's Discount Liquor has 20 liquor stores, they're able to buy by the pallet. As a small business like mine, if I wanted to do this, there's no way I could compete with their price. Their Jack Daniel's bottle would be $9.99. I pay more than the customer does. We probably would pay $14.99. So we would be focusing on certain types of liquors, alcohols, unique things like Smoke Wagon that's made here locally that they don't carry. So I'm just kind of putting that out there. Also, in terms of alcohol coming into the store, into our restaurants, bars, we could do a corkage fee, but we're not going to just let them open a bottle of beer or alcohol at their table. That would be against our policy. We actually don't allow open containers to come into our business. We usually have a garbage can. We either have them finish it or throw it out. And I think all bars and restaurants could do that. They could take advantage of a corkage fee, or they could just simply ask them not to open that on their premise. And one thing I do believe also what he just said is that, honestly, I've drank at home a little bit more than I did before COVID. I used to go out to bars. Now I drink at home. And to Councilwoman Diaz's point, I believe that there's probably going to be less drunk driving as COVID goes away. And because people will still be drinking at home. Even as COVID goes away, we could be at 50%, we could be at 100% occupancy right now, but we would still probably only have 25% of the people out there. Just because COVID is getting back to normal and there's vaccines, it doesn't mean that everyone is going to go back to the way of life that they had. Some people are going to continue to drink at home. So that's why I believe this will actually prevent DUIs and everything associated with that. And one thing I will point out, Mayor Goodman, you had mentioned something about how the small businesses could be helped through this. One thing that makes us unique is most bars have a cocktail list, and there's your signature cocktails. If there was a way to sell, if included in this, we could sell growlers, something with a sealed container that was factory made in the bar, either a growler or a boba teacup that is sealed and becomes a sealed container. Obviously, growlers should be able to be included in that because those are already allowed to be picked up. That could really help the small businesses because we have unique products that people would want to have at their after-work party. We sell charitable cocktails. We would love to sell a Moscow Mule, raise a little money for the charity, and deliver that we could deliver it here to City Council after your meeting. So thank you very much for hearing me.
We'll drink at home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mayor, members of the council. For the record, my name is Alyssa Naveworth. I'm from Greenberg Charg, and we're here on behalf of 7-Eleven. Our address is 10845 Griffith Peak, Suite 600, 89135. We just want to start by thanking Mayor Pro Tem Anthony and the staff for all of their hard work on this issue. We applaud you to think proactively and to think towards the future. Now more than ever, Las Vegas residents are accessing a broad range of goods and services through that at-home delivery. Delivery is the future in a current COVID world and going forward. 7-Eleven has seen a great demand for its offerings through other than alcohol through its 7 Now app surge during the pandemic. 7-Eleven welcomes the opportunity to offer the full range of products to their customers with the support of the council for expanding access to internet sales licensed to packaged liquor licenses. This ordinance gives small businesses that are owned by Nevadans that can't afford to operate a delivery fleet the opportunity and the ability to access this growing market by partnering with a third-party delivery service. Being able to responsibly deliver beer and wine will be a critical lifeline to brick-and-mortar stores, restaurants, and their employees. On behalf of 7-Eleven, our Nevadan store owners, and our Nevadan employees, we thank you for your thoughtful approach and ask you to support this ordinance with the amendment supported by the Nevada Resort Association that would prohibit delivery to resorts. And we're also happy to answer questions regarding safety. 7-Eleven is working with municipalities across the nation with regard to delivery. They require double ID verification. They work very closely with police departments across the nation, and they want to ensure the utmost safety and surety that they are delivering the alcohol to the right people that are age verified, and they work with their police departments across the nation to do so. And so we welcome that conversation. We work with Metro Here Now in many ways, and we applaud this. We also agree that when you deliver alcohol, it limits the opportunity for people to drink and drive, and we think that there is a safety element to that as well. So I stand open for any questions, and otherwise I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your comments. I think they've been very interesting. Councilman Anthony, please.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, this is a brand-new idea, and I'll tell you, that anytime somebody brings up a new idea, I'll be the first one to critically analyze it and let you know if I don't like it or if I do like it. In this particular case, the business community came to me and said, hey, we need some help. We need to reform some of the ways we do things, and it could be, you know, it could be because of COVID, but you know, we're going to change the way we do a lot of things for the next 20 years because of this this COVID stuff. So what I've heard since day one is overwhelming support from the business community to allow them to do this. This is something that they want to do, and they need the city's permission to do it. And I have not heard one restaurant call me or come to a recommending meeting, or even today, saying that we don't like this, it's going to disrupt our business. I don't think that's going to be the case. So I think this is a good idea. I just want to support these businesses and help them get through this. So if you're okay, Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to...
Let me close public comment.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Sorry.
All right, I do want to ask, is there anything, any e-comments? None at all. And I do want to make a comment through this. I think what you said is, you know, the idea of looking forward and that you're listening and you thoroughly have vetted it. And my concerns, Councilman Creer and Mr. Scott have set those aside for the time being, but I think there's a real appetite for number 3. And fortunately, the doors to all council and emails, everything is open. And that's where this came from. It came from out there, from you all. And so you have the ideas, you have the concerns, you have the day-to-day knowledge of what's needed, and I think it's great. And Mayor Pro Tem has just done, again, a really thorough job on this, which has put my concerns aside, and especially agreeing, and we thank Ms. Valentine for coming down. And as I mentioned, she was former city manager, so she understands all this. And just hope it does for everyone what we're hopeful it's going to be. And under the leadership of Councilman Anthony, I think it's great. I love that they came to you and proposed this and hung in with it, and it's been over a period of time. So with that, I'm going to close the public comment, and now please make your motion. And which one your motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I will make a motion to approve Bill number 2020-39 with amendment version number 3.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please vote and please post. And the motion carries, and thank you very much, and we'll move forward at this point then. Thank you. And agenda item 40, oh, we're on agenda item 45. That was a stop in between. Recommending committee bills eligible for adoption later, meeting bills number 45 through 50, bills number 2021-1 through 2021-6 will be heard at a later meeting. There are no new bills, so we'll move on to agenda item number 51 through 52. Okay. Items number 51 through 52C may be considered in one motion, one vote, or considered routine, non-public, public hearing items with no condition changes. Any person representing an application or a member of the public or member of the council not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the application recommended by staff should request that that item removed from this portion of the agenda. Note that the record should reflect my abstention, item 52 through 52C. These items pertain to marijuana-related business, and one of my sons is involved in that industry. I'll be voting on item number 51. 5120-0114 SUP1 applicant Craft Studios, Inc., DBA Pinspiration owner 7208-7290 Lake Mead Boulevard Holdings LLC on a land use entitlement project request for a special use permit for proposed 2,380 square foot beer wine cooler on sale. Establishment use with a waiver to allow 80-foot distance separation from a city park where 400 feet is required at 7210 West Lake Mead Boulevard, Suites number 7 and 8, C1 Limited Commercial Zone, Ward 1, Councilman Knutson. Number 52, 20-0167, applicant ACG Design, owner DB Holdings, Inc., on the following land use entitlement project request on 0.39 acres at 2603 Highland Drive, M Industrial Zone, Ward 1, Councilman Knutson. Related item 52A, 20-0167 VAR1, to allow a 5-foot side yard setback where 10 feet is required. Related item 52B, 20-0167 SUP for proposed major amendment to a previously approved special use permit SUP 73838 to allow a 576 square foot expansion to an existing marijuana cultivation facility use resulting in an overall square footage of 11,343 square feet. And related item number 52C, 20-0167 SDR1 for proposed marijuana cultivation facility development with waivers of the perimeter landscape buffer requirements. On all items, staff and planning commission recommend approval. These are public hearing items which I declare open. Is there anyone wishing to be heard on these items? None on, no email comments? Okay. Is there anyone, let's see, any comments from council on any of these? Mayor Pro Tem has left, so Councilman Creer, may I have a motion for the one motion, one vote items, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll make a motion to approve one motion, one vote items 51 and 52.
Thank you. Please vote and please post. And the motion carries. Thank you. And so now we're on to, okay, 53. Agenda item 53, 20-0026, the following land use entitlement project requests on 1.43 acres west side of Jones Boulevard, approximately 360 feet north, Smoke Ranch Road, C1 Limited Commercial Zone. 53A, 200026 GPA1 from SC Service Commercial to GC General Commercial. 53B, 20-0026 ZON1 from C1 Limited Commercial, C2 General Commercial. Number 53, 20-0026 VAR1 to allow proposed unpaved surface parking lot where such is not allowed, a solid screen wall in the front yard of a commercial property where such is prohibited, a 9-foot tall perimeter metal fence where 8 feet is allowed, and non-decorative, non-contrasting materials where such is not allowed. 53D 20-0026 SUP1 for proposed trucking company use with waivers to allow more than 5 trucks or trailers and to allow the use to be visible from the adjoining streets. Number 53E 20-0026 SDR1 for proposed parking facility with waivers of perimeter landscape buffer requirements and to allow an existing chain link fence areas adjacent to the west property line to remain where such material is prohibited. The applicant owner is Surratt Siete LLC. On all items, Planning Commission recommends approval. Staff recommends denial. These are in Ward 5 with Councilman Creer, and our public hearings, which I declare open. Is the applicant or representatives present? Hello.
Good morning, everybody. David Brown, 520 South 4th Street. With me is Lucy Stewart on behalf of the applicant. The applicant is requesting a zone change from C1 to C2. The property is located off Jones Boulevard and is currently a dirt lot. The applicant makes the request so the property can be converted to a paved parking lot to hold up to 41 semi-trucks. The property will be gated and screened to minimize the view of the trucks from the street. There will also be intense landscaping on the front of the property. If approved, this use should have very little impact on traffic. The ingress and egress will be only off of Jones Boulevard. In addition, the gate will be open during business hours. The applicant is also going to instruct the tenants to, if they're driving by and they see a truck is pulling in, to circle the block rather than causing any traffic issues. Also, while there are 41 spots, the trucking business, people don't all come and go at the same time. They don't always come and go every single day. Some people go once a week, some people go twice a week, some people go in the morning, some people go at night. Staff recommends denial on this project. However, we believe that denial is based on zoning rather than the project itself. Staff is concerned that the changing the property from C1 excuse me, to C2 could open up the location up to other businesses that are less appropriate for that area. Unfortunately, or fortunately, right next to the property is a church on one side and a school on the other side. There's no way they could use this for a nightclub or any other alcohol-related business. The paving of this property and the fencing along with the landscaping will allow this parcel to look finished and be a welcome addition to the neighborhood. We hope to have your approval. We're in agreement with all the conditions recommended by staff.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lowenstein.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The area surrounding the subject site is primarily residential in nature with lighter commercial properties at major intersections that provide goods and service to the area patrons. The proposed general plan amendment and rezoning would allow uses of more intense character that should be located away from low and medium density residential development. Staff finds no evidence of unique or extraordinary circumstances to support the requested variance and is evidence of the unsuitability of the proposed development in relation to the neighboring developments. As such, staff is recommending denial of the project, but if approved, there are two conditions that I would like to amend in regards to the variance application, as the applicant has indicated that the lot will be paved, and also at the Planning Commission meeting on the site development review, the wall heights were limited to 8 feet in height. So to make sure that the variance does not contradict any of those two things, either the submitted site plan that you see on the screen right now and the condition on the site development review, I will have two amended conditions for that variance item if approved.
And you're in agreement?
If we're fortunate enough to be approved, we're in agreement with those conditions.
Okay. Do you want to read them in at this point? Or Councilman Creer, would you like to hear them at this point or just proceed?
I do think it'd be good to have it on the record to be read.
Okay, through you, Madam Mayor. On 20-026-VAR1, I would need to amend conditions number 2 and 3. Condition 2 would be amended to read as follows: a variance to allow an unpaved parking lot surface where such is required is denied. And number 3 would be amended to read a variance to allow a 9-foot tall perimeter fence where 8 feet is the maximum height allowed is denied. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from council? It's yours, Councilman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, we've had discussion on this, and you've answered my questions on it, especially having the pavement, the egress and ingress on Jones is an issue. What are the hours of operation?
I think the hours of operation will be open 24 hours, but during the business hours, that's when the gate will be open.
Right.
But the truck drivers will have access to it 24 hours.
Okay. I'm going to, if there's no discussion, I'm going to make a motion for approval for item 53 with any added conditions.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion to approve agenda item 53. Please vote and please post. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and now we'll move on to...
Madam Mayor?
Yes, please.
Clerk Holmes, could you adjust 44, please, to yea?
Okay, we're now on to agenda items 55 through 55E. Okay, and 55D has been withdrawn without prejudice, is that correct? Oh, it's, yeah. Okay, 5520-0142, the following land use entitlement project requests on .92 acres southwest corner of Mountain Trail and Sunset Drive. 55A 20-0142-GPA1 from R Royal Density Residential to L1R Light Industry Research. 55B 20-0142-ZON1 from RE Residence Estates in U Undeveloped R Rural Density Residential General Plan Designation to M Industrial. 55C 20-0142-VR1 to allow an 8-foot front yard wall where 5 feet is the maximum allowed. And again, assuming that 55D has been withdrawn without prejudice, so we'll move on to 55E, 20-0142 SDR1 for proposed heavy machinery and equipment storage development with waivers of perimeter landscaping development standards. The applicant owner is Marlon L. Johnson. On all items, Planning Commission recommends approval. Staff recommends denial. These are in Ward 5 with Councilman Creer and are public hearings, which I declare open. Is the applicant or representative present?
Yes, Madam Mayor, council members, Nathan Taylor, 8414 West Farm Road, represent applicant. Before I give my brief presentation, I just wanted to tell you I was looking at my calendar the other day, and it's been a year since I've been down here to see you guys because of everything that happened last year to a lot of small business owners like myself. And so we all experienced a really crazy and interesting times last year, but I think we're all coming back and coming back strong. I want to thank you all for your leadership and helping small businesses like you guys did last year. So before I get started. This area, I wanted to, and I talked to Councilman Creer, and it was mentioned on the record when Commissioner Williams at the Planning Commission brought it up, is this area is transitioning from residential to commercial. It's a unique, older part of town near Rancho Vegas Drive area. There was a similar application before you last year, literally across the street, making several similar requests that we're making here today. I will note we did agree with the suggestion of Commissioner Williams that we would put in the curb, gutter, and sidewalk as required by code, so that's why we did pull 55D. We did have a neighborhood meeting here at City Hall last year. No neighbors attended, so that's always a good sign. I don't know of any opposition to this application. I would note, too, I wasn't really sure, I probably should have reached out to planning before today, but one of the other things that we agreed to on 55E, which is the perimeter landscaping, we did agree through Commissioner Williams to put in the perimeter landscaping. What we did ask for was to waive the interior landscaping, but we would put in the perimeter landscaping that's required by code. And I think that's it. I'm just here to answer any questions, and Mr. Johnson, the property owner, is here if you have any questions for him. And with that, we just ask that you follow planning's recommendation for approval and answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's turn to Mr. Lowenstein then, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'll do the presentation first and then a clarifying question because I'm looking at the site plan he's showing in regards to perimeter landscaping. So first, the proposed general plan amendment and rezoning would allow industrial uses directly adjacent to existing rural neighborhood residential properties to the north and west when it's intended that such uses be located away from all residential development. Staff finds no evidence or unique extraordinary circumstances to support the requested variance, and the proposed development would be incompatible with the neighboring development. Staff recommends denial of all applications. If approved, staff has the following condition changes as a result of the withdrawal of the one variance request, and I would have to amend condition number 1 on the first variance and then amend condition number 1 on the site development review. If you'd like, I can read those now.
Well, what is your pleasure, Mr. Creer?
Please read it. Thank you. So amending condition number 1 of 20-0142-VAR1, and condition 1 should be amended to read approval of a general plan amendment parentheses 20-0142-GPA1 and rezoning parentheses 20-0142-071 ZON-1, and approval of and conformance to the conditions of site development plan review, parentheses 20-0142-SDR1, and parentheses shall be required if approved, and then amend condition number 1 of 20-142-SDR1 to read as follows. Approval of a general plan amendment, parentheses 20-0142-GPA1, and rezoning 20-142-ZON1, and conformance to the conditions of approval of variance 20-0142-VAR1 shall be required if approved. Thank you. So those would be the amended conditions. We have in the site development review, it does state a condition number 4 that states that there is allowance for no perimeter landscaping where 15 is required adjacent to the right-of-way, and 8 feet is required along the interior lot line. So that condition still stands. So looking at the site development review, there still seems to be zero-foot landscape buffer adjacent to the perimeter, adjacent to the right-of-way, based upon if that is a wall that is displayed on the property for the majority of the perimeter adjacent to the right-of-way. If we're talking just directly in front of the building area that's highlighted in yellow, then it's potential that they have that portion, but the waiver would still be there because it addresses the portion where the wall is directly behind either back or sidewalk. And then the waiver also includes 0 for the interior, just for full clarity.
Okay, so you're in agreement with those conditions?
Just a clarification, so right now, there's an existing chain link fence.
Right.
I believe that fence is on the property line up against the roadway.
Okay.
We are proposing to build a block wall, which would be set back, how far again, Marlon? Yeah, we would remove the chain link fence, install the wall, install the landscaping. The reason for the height, again, it may or may not have come up in our conversation that we had with the councilman, is for security reasons. That's why we want to go 8 foot, because he's going to be storing heavy equipment on the property. And then there is an existing gate that we will leave. We contacted some engineers for emergency purposes. If there was an emergency and someone had to get out quickly, if the gates were locked or with the block walls. So other than that, once the block wall is built, we'll be putting the landscaping in conjunction with that.
Where is the gate located?
This is the existing gate right here.
Yes.
Along Sunrise Drive. This is the proposed new driveway here, and then there's another proposed new driveway here off of Mountain Trail. These are 2 parcels that, so we're asking for, obviously, both of these parcels is our request.
And is there a timeline on them, Councilman?
A timeline on,
These changes that are being made?
oh, I would imagine once you get approval, you're going to go ahead and move forward with
Correct.
the construction of it.
And
If you
through
get
you,
approval.
Councilman, to Mr. Lowenstein, generally, once these are approved, what is the timeline that we have to meet in order to finish this project without having to request an extension of time?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to answer the question, it's standard for 2-year time period in which the applicant has to exercise the land use entitlement, after which time they would need to file a extension of time prior to that expiration date to seek an extension from the council, or they exercise it by construction, through building permit.
Thank you. I see no questions here, so Councilman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't know if you want to open public comment or if you want to, and then come back.
Do you have any, none online?
Okay.
And anyone here interested in any of the making comment on 55, any of those items?
Great.
Mayor,
Close that?
Mayor, Jim
Yeah.
Lewis, City Attorney's Office.
Yes.
Could we ask the applicant to accept all the conditions related to 55A through D excluding D? They did accept the amended conditions, but I didn't hear them accept all of the conditions.
Okay.
Well, there may be some more if you want to.
Okay, very well. Thank you, Councilman.
If you want to hold off. Thank you. Well, number one, Mr. Johnson, you haven't told us exactly what it is that you're looking to do. You mentioned, I know it's in the backup, but I think it'd be good on record to express what is your business, and are you have trucks and stuff parked there now?
Marlon Johnson, located at 1655 Sunset Drive.
I'm actually a small contractor. I do demolition grading and underground utilities, and I wanted to use it as a storage yard to store heavy equipment such as backhoes, excavators, and front-end loaders, and dump trucks and utility trucks for the employees at the location, and convert the house into an office.
Okay, so are you, is that house, are you staying there now, in that house?
No.
Okay, and are you using that storage unit now?
Yes.
Okay, and so if you didn't have this, where's your business?
Right now, I operate out the home, and the heavy equipment is being stored on projects right now, but due to COVID, everything is slowed down tremendously.
Okay, and let me ask you, how come you need light, is that proper zoning for that? In order to park your structure, you have to go light industrial?
Through you, Mayor, for heavy machinery storage, yes, you have to go to commercial, industrial, or industrial zoning district.
Okay, but you aren't going to be doing any manufacturing there?
No, sir.
Okay, and also, one concern that I have is that you talked about an entrance and egress and ingress on Mountain Trail. I wouldn't want to approve that because that turns into the residential area. And then as you go from Sunset, you would enter from Rancho and then come in on the north side of Sunset instead of coming in off of Vegas Drive, because, you know, if you look at that area, a lot of that area is, it's a weird area because there's a lot of residential, which is, that's been there for a long, long, long time. And then there's some county stuff over that way. And then there are businesses that are right there along Rancho. And so I think that if you start entering off of Vegas Drive onto Sunset, so if you come up Vegas Drive, if you're going east or west on Vegas Drive and you go north, make a right onto Vegas, then you know, you're kind of buffering into more residential as well. But if you go north on Rancho up to Sunset, hang a left, go west, and come in that way, you're going to bypass a lot of residential, and that might be a little bit less intensive than going off of Vegas Drive, and then no egress and ingress off of Mountain Trail.
Okay.
Okay, and also, you really need to beautify that area up. It looks pretty bad right now. With the fencing, with the exterior, and I'm still going to think you still need the interior because of the fact that you need to create a buffer from the residents, especially to the west of there, because you have the west and the south of there, because you have residents there, and you don't want to park all the way up to the wall. You need to create some type of barrier. So I would not be in approval of not approving the interior landscaping, because I think that's going to help create somewhat of a buffer that on the inside. So I would approve the interior and exterior, no egress and ingress off of Mountain Trail. Egress and ingress only, I guess, I don't know how you position it, where you would only have, be able to enter off of Sunset going, I guess you'd be entering south. You wouldn't be entering north because you can't enter off of Vegas Drive. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And you would be fine with that?
We'll be fine with that, yes.
Okay. All right. What I'd like to do is to make a motion for approval with those additional conditions. And I also want a one-year review to ensure that there is not a lot of commotion, and we're going to check with the neighbors and see how that goes. All right?
Okay.
Through you, Madam Mayor, so I'm just going to get everything into planarese.
You didn't catch that?
For you. Yeah, I'm feverishly doing this. So the required review, are you looking for a one-year administrative required
Administrative review, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we are denying the request for the waiver of the interior
Yes, we are.
landscape buffers. The perimeter landscape buffer in front of the home, they're able to provide it there. The current site layout, as I stated before, has those walls towards the back of sidewalk. If you're in agreement with how the site plan is laid out, with the exception of the ingress-egress onto Mountain Trail, then that portion of the waiver would still remain. I would reword it for a portion of, making sure that in front of the existing structure, that's where the landscaping would occur. All right. So let me give it a shot, all right? So we would amend condition number 4 to read, a waiver from Title 1908.100 is hereby approved to allow no perimeter landscaping where 15 is required adjacent to the right-of-way for a portion of the site. Perimeter landscaping shall be installed within front of the existing structure, and ending it at that point. Therefore, the remaining portion of that condition, being the 8 feet, is required along interior lines, would be dropped off, and therefore that waiver would no longer be approved. And then deletion of condition number 5, because the exception for 0 trees within that landscape buffer would no longer, retaining number 5, and we're going to modify condition number 6 to read, an exception from Title 19-08040 is hereby approved to allow a reduced number of landscape trees where 34 trees are required to be subsequently reviewed and approved by the Department of Planning at the time of building permit.
That's fine.
And then an additional condition is a required, 1-year administrative required review shall be conducted from the date of building permit issuance?
Yep. Then also, like I said, you can't enter off of Vegas Drive onto Sunset. You need to come in off of Rancho to Sunset, however you position that, whether you say southbound entrance only or...
Right. We would just basically put in a condition saying no ingress or egress shall occur from
Vegas.
Mountain Trail. Is that?
No, Mountain Trail is 1. So they had an ingress and egress to Mountain Trail. Then 2, if you look at where it's situated, if you're going to go north on Rancho, you're going to make a left on Sunset, you're going to pass a number, that's all commercial, right? And then you can come into Sunset and make a right, and you're going to go into your yard. If you're coming off of Vegas Drive, it's more residential on that side than it is commercial, so you would just try to eliminate egress and ingress off of Vegas Drive. So really, there's no entrance off of Vegas Drive.
Okay, so...
However you position that.
Number 1 is nothing off of Mountain Trail.
Yes.
And number 2 is because it doesn't abut Vegas Drive, so they're not really pulling it. They should, I guess, discourage traffic from Vegas Drive.
Right. And so you can only enter Sunset off of Rancho, however that makes sense.
Okay, so no ingress or egress off of Mountain Trail. Business traffic shall access the site off of Sunset Drive via Rancho.
Via Rancho. Ingress and egress, yes.
Okay.
All right. Everybody catch that?
Are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay. Where's Rancho, Mr. Taylor, on this map?
I don't believe it's on this map.
Oh.
I don't.
South.
Yes. Then,
Oh.
Madam Mayor, it would be to the northeast. That
Okay.
Sunset drives and then
Okay.
curves to the northeast.
I should know this because it's my old neighborhood, so I haven't been down there in a while.
Well, maybe Mr. Johnson, as long as Mr. Johnson knows, it's important. Oh.
Councilwoman Diaz?
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good to see you. We'll see you soon.
Good to see you.
Okay, 56, A and B. 20-0166 on the following land use entitlement project requests on approximately 603 acres bounded by Owens Avenue on the north, Interstate 15 and Main Street on the east, US 95 on the south, Martin Luther King Boulevard on the west, number 56A 20-0166 GPA 1 to amend a portion of the southeast sector land use map of the general plan from L low density residential ML, medium low density residential M, medium density residential H, high density residential, MXU mixed use, C commercial, LIR, Light Industrial Research, and PF Public Facilities to FBC Form-Based Code number 86B 20-0166-ZON1 from RE Residence Estates, R1 Single Family Residential, R2 Medium Low Density Residential, R3 Medium Density Residential, R4 High Density Residential, R5 Apartment, C1 Limited Commercial, C2 General Commercial, CM Commercial Industrial, M Industrial, CV Civic, and CM Commercial Industrial, M Industrial, CV Civic, and undesignated formerly right-of-way to T3-N, T3 Neighborhood, T3N-0, T3 Neighborhood Open, T4 and T4 Neighborhood, T4 MS, T4 Main Street, and T4-C, T4 Corridor, T4M, T4 Maker, T5N, T5 Neighborhood, T5C, T5 Corridor, and T5M, T5 Maker. The applicant owner is the City of Las Vegas. Planning Commission and staff recommend approval of the land use entitlement project. These are in Ward 5, Councilman Creer. Public hearings, which I declare open. And so, Mr. Lowenstein.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. These applications represent the city's third downtown district to implement form-based code. After many months of study, research, and community input, the form-based designation, along with the appropriate zoning districts, is proposed to be applied to the historic West Side District. The proposed rezoning to form-based transect zones is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Vision 2045 Downtown Las Vegas Master Plan, the Las Vegas 2020 Master Plan, the 100 Plan, and the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Plan. It is intended to be compatible with existing development, both within the district and adjacent to its boundaries. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the proposed rezoning and general plan amendment. If you have any specific questions, I have Michael Howe, our Urban Design Coordinator and Planning Section Manager, here to assist. Thank you.
Wonderful. Any questions from council? I'm going to ask them all to repeat every one of those zone changes. Go, Mr. Knudsen.
Madam Mayor, nice job reading that, because I didn't understand a word that you said, but it sounded very, very intelligent. I just wanted to say to Councilman Creer, I know from my own personal experience now, rezoning this much of an area is complicated and challenging, and it takes a great deal of political leadership to do this, and moving the city from where we are into where we're going to be in the future, which is a grown-up, big, amazing city. And so I'm really excited to support you in doing this, and thank you for taking the leadership effort on it.
Thank you.
Nicely stated. This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to be heard on any of these 56, 56A, or 56B, but I'm going to ask you to remember to repeat them all. But kidding aside, anyone here? Anybody online, please?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have two comments. From Tashika Lawson, she states, I oppose the adoption of the FBC as is because of the proposed land use entitlement does not include the T6 transit zones. The current 19.09 transit zone overview notes that T6-UC zone would allow structures up to 20 stories and T6-UG zones allow structures up to 12 stories. I believe these designations would be instrumental if included in the initial adoption of the FBC to spur best use land development for the historic sites such as the Carver House Hotel and Moulin Rouge Casino and Hotel within the bounded lines of the historic West Side. Thank you, Tashika Lawson. And the second one is from Lu Chuan Lee, and she supports the application.
Thank you. I'll close public hearing. Turn this over to you, Councilman Creer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your kind words, Councilman Knudsen. I just want to say and thank you to the entire team that has been working on this diligently ever since the first day I've arrived here. And this is one more heavy lift that's going to allow us to expedite and move forward with a number of initiatives that you know we have under the 100 Plan. And I think ultimately it is going to be a positive step for us moving forward. So without any further conversation, I want to make a motion to approve item 56.
Thank you very much. There's a motion to approve agenda item 56. And please vote. And please post. Wonderful. One more block and a big wall. It's wonderful. Thank you very much. We'll move on to, and that does pass, and we'll move on to agenda item 57, 20-0171 SUP1, special use permit public hearing, applicant Francisco Vargas, owner Pacific Enterprises 1 LLC for possible action, land use entitlement project request for a special use permit for proposed open-air vending transient sales lot use on .31 acres, southwest corner Washington Avenue and Main Street, M Industrial Zone, Ward 5, Councilman Creer. Staff recommends denial. Planning Commission recommends approval. This public hearing, which I declare open, is the applicant or representative present? Yes, he is.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Sorry for the interruption from my rude friend, Peter. Peter's a good guy. That's my buddy. Ricky Barlow for the record, 2222 West Bonanza, LV Access LLC, representing the applicant, Mr. Vargas. Before you here today, Mayor and Council, is a food cart that it has been operating within the city of Las Vegas since June of 2020. Under the current code, food carts are only allowed to stay in one position for up to 4 hours at that specific location. At this particular location at the corner of Main and Washington, the owner has come to the food cart operator, Mr. Vargas, and his cohort, and asked them to remain permanently, being that it's adjacent to a manufacturing facility, and a number of their employees leave the facility in order to go and get food. And having said that, they would like for the applicant to have the ability to remain on site for the duration of the 3 shifts in which the facility operates. And so going through the planning process, the business licensing process, staff has been very diligent in regards to how we got to this point. It has been a long process. We started this application in March of 2020, and I'm standing before you in January of 2021 with the recommendation of Planning Commission, and also business licensing, and planning staff has been great to work with, very, educating us every step of the way, because what I understand is that this is going to be somewhat of a benchmark as to how, in fact, the city of Las Vegas will be holding food cart vendors accountable in regards to being at specific designated locations. And I know that this council has had an item before you, if not today, in previous council meetings, in regards to the food carts that will be in the downtown area, I believe in the Arts District, if I'm not mistaken, on another matter. But having said that, this food cart, Tacos de Birria, and I know I'm chopping up the word, La Pasadita, they sell a variety of Mexican food and beverage, and they're looking to remain at this location in order to service not only the public that comes into this location, but also the service workers that are in the area as well. And so the hours of operation that we've put in for is from 8:30 a.m. for the breakfast crowd until 1:30 a.m. For the third, I guess you would call that either the swing shift for the employees. And so for that, I'll entertain any questions that you or the councilman may have as it relates to this application.
Okay, it is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who has comment on agenda item 57? Then I'm going to come over to you. I feel the eye. Any online? Okay. I'm going to close public hearing, and now to you, please, Mr. Lowenstein.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So upon further evaluation of the application and the Planning Commission's limitations to the hours of operation, staff is in support of this application. Thank you. I just want to clarify, the hours of operation that were just mentioned differ from what are the conditions of approval from Planning Commission. So that just needs to be addressed, because in this conditions, it's 7 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Okay,
And
and
with that-
did I stand corrected? I appreciate that, 1 a.m. I
Okay,
believe I
any
said
other-
1:30 a few minutes ago?
Yes.
Okay, then 1 a.m. is fine.
Okay. Any other conditions?
No, that was just a point of clarification.
Okay. Councilman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to make a motion for approval if there's no discussion.
Okay, there's a motion to approve agenda item 57. Please vote.
Madam Mayor, if I may ask a question really quick.
Yes, please.
I wanted to know if the neighboring businesses, especially restaurants, were consulted in bringing this food truck offering. I know there's a Salvadorian restaurant in close proximity that may offer similar food, and they've been there for many, many years. So I wanted to know what they had to say about the food truck coming into that corner, since, you know, there's not a lot of restaurant activity on that corridor, but they've been there for a long time. And I know that, you know, as we've heard this morning about COVID and having its disproportionate impact, I just wanted to know how much we had vetted it with neighboring brick and mortar restaurants.
Well, I can share this with you, Councilwoman and Mayor and Council, is that all of the restaurants that are in and around the downtown community are in support of more volume of traffic coming in. So if in fact this is an opportunity for another vendor to come in to bring additional residents or customers into their area, they've in full support of it. I know that they've been in communications with with the owner, my client, and everyone has been supportive. And so I'm pretty sure that if they had any issue or any qualms about it, they would have most definitely contacted the councilman's office or this council as it relates to their concerns, like other restaurants that have, restaurant operators have come before you expressing their concern in regards to how that would negatively impact their business. But we haven't had nothing but open support from everyone in this corridor, specifically being that Washington, and you know it very well, just as well as I do, Washington and Maine, there's no food, with the exception of that one restaurant that exists right there on the east side of Main Street, the Salvadorian restaurant that you're referencing.
Okay, any question further, Councilwoman? No. Because I do recall years ago, I'm going to go back 8 years easy, when on Fremont Street East in front of the El Cortez, we had the issue with the Mamacitas and the food trucks, and we've gone through the big meetings that were held with all the restaurateurs in that area, and I think you were on council at that time.
Absolutely.
And with the truck vendor, food trucks, and with Brandy Stanley, as to how that was resolved. But we put everybody together, and it was resolved certain locations on a lottery basis. So depending on what happens in the area in the future, that's a good way to go.
And I can share this with you, and this is not to belabor the issue, but there's a number of food trucks out on the city streets, as you all very well know, that aren't licensed. And so I appreciate the fact that business licensing in particular, along with their planning team, basically not only walked us through, but basically held us to a very tight rope, so that a lot of the rogue vendors that are operating illicitly will have an opportunity to now come into compliance based on what you all are voting on here today.
Okay. Thank you. I think we all voted. Did we post? There you are.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay,
Take
Happy
care.
New Year to you all.
Thank you to you
Okay.
too. So let's move on to agenda item 58, A, B, and C. 200207, the following land use entitlement project request portion of 23.37 acres southeast corner of Deer Springs Way and Conquistador Street, 858A 20-0207, CON1 from U Undeveloped PF Public Facilities, General Plan designation to CV Civic on a 20.0 acre portion of the 2329 acres, 58B 20-0207 VR1, to allow deviations from Title 19.10.020 CV Civic development standards, and 58C 20-0207 SDR1, proposed water reservoir at a 9,819 square foot pumping station, pressure reducing valves development, applicants Las Vegas Valley Water District, owners Las Vegas Valley Water District and Bureau of Land Management. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the land use entitlement project. Staff recommends approval on item 51A and denial 58B and 58C. These are in Ward 6 with Councilwoman Fiore. Public hearings, which I declare open. Is our presence here? Yes, we are. So please introduce yourself and make your comments.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, Madam Mayor and council members. And Happy New Year to you. My name is Robin Rocky, 1001 South Valley View Boulevard. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, the Las Vegas Valley Water District, and with me is Chris Laquette. He's the project manager, knows way more about this project than I do. So we're happy to present the Rome Reservoir and Pumping Station for your consideration. This is on a 17-acre water district site. It's in the northwest part of the valley. It's on the southeast corner of Deer Springs Way and Conquistador. You can see the parameters of the proposed project right here. We are requiring a zone change to public facility designation for this project. The project consists of a 10 million gallon below grade concrete reservoir, 2 basins, 5 million gallons each. We also have a pumping station component. It's like just a pump house. It's this rectangle right here, and that will be sized to pump 28 million gallons per day from this facility. The building is roughly 2 stories in height. It has windows, a color scheme that's complementary to the community. It is the most visible part of this project, and for that reason, its aesthetics were top priority for us. You'll see some pictures of it when we show you the rendering. The project is on schedule to begin construction in the spring, possibly late spring, and it will be completed in the fall of 2022. So let's get to some of the renderings.
If I might interrupt you, what is the amount of the service that it can hold? How many houses, how many families? I don't even know how you measure it, but what, this size of reservoir, what is its service?
Right. Do you want to talk about the...
Christopher Luquette with the Las Vegas Valley Water District. I don't have exact numbers, but this particular site feeds 3 different pump pressure zones throughout the valley, and it serves several tens of thousands of individual businesses and residents when it's fully operational. It's got I believe it's a 45 million gallon per day pumping capacity, as well as the 10 million gallon reservoir itself.
And is this water that's coming in from the Colorado? What's going into it? Where's that water from?
The water that comes in here is water that ultimately is pulled out of Lake Mead from our treatment plant, Alfred Merritt Smith, and then pumped through the system, works its way up here, and then with the reservoir feeds residents in this general area, as well as further up to the north and the developing northwest area of the valley. And then the pumping station helps to push water further uphill to more pressure zones in the northwest part of the valley.
And it is accompanied by what one exists already in the closest proximity to what you're developing here?
The closest similar operating facilities?
Yes.
There's a Grand Canyon Reservoir, which is probably about 3 or 4 miles away to the east, and then this pumping station feeds the Elkhorn Reservoir, which is further west along the I-215 corridor.
Okay, wow. Well, with the growth up there, I think this is wonderful. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No
you,
problem.
but just was curious how many, what the projections are, so how many more residents and office structures or whatever is being built up in the area.
All right, thank you. With regard to the landscape variance that we are requesting, the Water District will provide a 15-foot landscape buffer along the outside perimeter of the Conquistador and Deer Springs roads. Those are the frontage roads. We're really confident that the number of trees and landscaping that we've provided meet or exceed the Title 19 requirements, and we think it looks really good, and we hope that you agree. I'll just go through a couple more of the renderings here that show those frontage roads.
Pretty.
We respectfully ask for a variance to the 8-foot internal landscape buffer. The reasons that we're asking for the variance is that this is an unmanned facility, so that is going to pose just some maintenance issues for us, some cost as well. And also, the trees and landscaping along the outside of the facility we feel are abundant, and they will, I think they would hide interior landscaping as well, so we're not sure that the cost or the upkeep required for an internal buffer is really warranted with the nice external landscaping that we have.
Are those deciduous or non-deciduous trees, or a mix?
Yeah, and I see some really nice blossoms here, so
Both?
do you have some detail on some of the landscaping, Chris?
Yes.
The choices, that is, of the trees and the shrubs, that's what you're asking, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, because really the visibility, if they are, I would imagine the orange ones are in, you know, it's fall or something, but maybe the others are non-deciduous, and so they'll be green all
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, Chris is going to look that up.
So the actual, I'm sorry. The actual species are going to be pistachia, red push pistache, and desert willow. Those are the actual trees that they are
So
proposing.
blend, I think. I think you have two kinds, but I may be wrong. But I think it's important to have some non-deciduous that stay green all year to help hide, since you're not doing anything on the interior, which makes sense.
Yeah. And these are Xeriscape approved trees. I can't specifically say which ones of these are green all year and just bloom in the season, but they are part of the locally approved Xeriscape plan.
Okay. So it should be pretty. Okay, thank you.
All right, so I've left this last rendering up so you can take a look at the fencing that we're proposing, and we are requesting approval of the site development plan with the addition of a variance to allow for a secure height fencing for the site's perimeter. We take the safety of your water very seriously. We are fierce protectors of it, and this is our security standards that are very high for that reason. So basically the vast majority of the wall will be you can see kind of a pony wall here with a tubular steel fencing that rises up above that pony wall. This would be along the frontage road of Conquistador, also Deer Springs, down the entire south side, and a majority of the east side as well. We've entered into a common wall agreement along the east side with the Deer Springs community, and that was unopposed. I'm going to bring the site plan back again just to show you a bit of variance that we are requesting for that hybrid wall. And that is, first I want to point out the true perimeter of our site is a true rectangle. I think in the mailer it might have shown that the perimeter came out in this direction, but in fact our wall is a straight shot down from Deer Springs down to the highway there. So this is BLM land and it remains open. No fencing toward this community here. So there is a portion of fencing along the east side that borders BLM land, and that's this area from here down. And we're proposing a solid block wall for that portion of the site fencing. for a couple of reasons. First of all, it is the standard approach and best engineering practices for a shared wall along undeveloped land that we assume to be developed sometime in the future. It is standard practice for that to be a solid CMU block wall. And that's the standard Title 19 requirement for a residential lot, which our crystal balls are saying this will probably be residential someday. So therefore, the solid block wall that we're proposing, again, for this section right here, would be consistent with that. The wall does not disrupt views of the mountains or even reach the tops. If you're standing here, and we do have some renderings showing that, it doesn't obscure the view of the mountains to the west. This was a concern we heard from the neighbors following the Planning Commission meeting, and we did address that for them. We also listened to the neighbors' concern about the block wall. We prepared new renderings for their consideration, which I sent to the community here in this cul-de-sac. They are immediately adjacent to the BLM land, and then, of course, our facility. So this is the rendering. You can see the pump station here. I talked about some of the windows and the roof line. But anyway, this is the rendering that shows the block wall that we are proposing for that section of property line. We also talked with the neighbors about extending the hybrid wall, that is that pony wall with the tubular steel fence, to the south side of Echelon. So we did make that adjustment based on some community feedback. And then finally, just with no frontage road on this portion of the property, it's just in our best interest security-wise to have a block wall there. And those are the reasons why we're proposing that.
Okay. Thank you. It looks beautiful, especially the raw land there. Mr. Lowenstein.
So that's it for my comments. We're here to answer any questions.
Okay.
I know.
Okay, if we can hear then from Mr. Lowenstein and any comments you have.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Staff finds the proposed rezoning is consistent with the underlying future land use designation and recommends approval of that. However, while staff contends that the proposed development is necessary for future communities within the northwest area of the city, proposed landscaping and perimeter wall heights do not meet the minimum standards set forth in the civic designation in 1910. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of the rezoning, however, is denial of the variance in the site development review. Thank you.
The property immediately to the northwest, is that already sold and divided property up there on the, would be to the right?
No, that's still part of the actual parcel. When it goes through the BLM process of relinquish whatever easement the water district has, it will go up to auction, and then through the BLM process, they will parcel it out in the future. But currently, that remnant portion is still part of this property.
And BLM property or water district property?
It's BLM property with the lease from the water district on it.
So
If I could clarify?
Please.
Christopher Luque with the Water District. What it is this site, it sits on a portion of Las Vegas Valley Water District fee-owned parcel,
Yes.
but the BLM parcel kind of zigzags in a S or Z shape across this area. We only received a right-of-way grant to create this improvement area here. Our right-of-way grant does not include this portion of the BLM property, so BLM in the future would be free to release this at auction at their decision.
And immediately to the north of the BLM piece remaining, has that already been sold to developers?
Well, north of the BLM piece would be north of Deer Springs Way.
No, to the, go directly.
This
go-
piece?
This small piece, go up north into what's divided already. Go
These
further
pieces?
north, up there, yes, what's that?
This is a residential development here. This is the development that we did get the common wall agreement with and got their approval for.
And are they developed in there? Are
Yes,
they-
ma'am.
It's fully developed?
Yes, ma'am.
And who is the developer there, do you know?
The HOA is Deer Springs HOA.
It's Deer Springs HOA. I don't know who the developer was. I'm
Do you know
sorry.
who that is? Sky Canyon or one of them? Providence. Okay. All right, this is public hearing. Anyone? I'm not sure, but this is really interesting. Anyone wishing to make comment from the public? Anybody online? No. Okay, let me close. There is, okay.
The first one is, Dear Council Members, we received notification that the Water District has submitted plans that have been approved by the Planning Commission to build a large pump station at the corner of Deer Springs and Grand Canyon in Las Vegas, 89149. We are not opposed to the project as long as the Water District continues the consistency of the 8-foot, half-inch solid wall and half rods with stone pillars mixed on the entire east side, keeping a pleasing view identical to the west side and north side, along with putting mainly trees and some bushes around the entire east side to cover up the large wall that is surrounding it, identical to the plans for the shrubbery that they are doing to the west and north side. Please respect the east side of the land. We live here, and we would like our side to look visually pleasing too, and not be forgotten about. We are asking that all city council members put a hold on this approval until the Water District can make the east side's visual aesthetics the same as the west and the north side. The same visual should be applied equally to the community as a whole, and the design consistent should encompass all sides to be uniform. That is why we are relying on you to help protect the beauty and dignity of our neighborhood. FYI, the Water District will tell you that they aren't bothering with part of the east side because it is BLM land that could have homes, properties on it someday in the future. But in the same breath, they are doing the half-solid wall and half rods and pillars on a small portion of the east side right next to east homes/property. We are just asking for consistency and an aesthetically pleasing view. And this same statement came from Sarah and Denver Humphreys, Eileen Weber, and Richard and Sharon Martorello.
Thank you.
And our last comment is from Cindy Douglas and Cynthia Katzman. Dear City Council members, we support the concerns and position outlined in Ms. Sarah Humphrey's letter to the City Council, and that's the letter I just read. We hope that the project will maintain a consistent uniform fence and landscaping design on all three sides, and that the east side residents will not be subjected to disparate treatment. Thank you for consideration. Doug and Cynthia Katzman. And that is all.
Thank you. Okay, I'll close public hearing now. Any other comments? Mr. Lowenstein, before I turn it over to Councilwoman. Any comments from council? Okay, Councilwoman Fiore, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And just to address a couple of the concerns, especially about the wall that we're going to make solid, which is going to be adjacent to a BLM property. The reason for it not conforming with the other side of the wall is because that could be years on out. It's BLM, it's got to go to auction, development, and then who knows if someone purchases that and doesn't want to look into the Water District's backyard. So the Las Vegas Valley Water has worked with all of these neighbors and this is actually, they've worked very hard and very diligent with the neighborhood. The letter that you just read, Clerk Holmes, with the name Sarah Humphreys, she had sent me a letter too, saying that she lived close. When we looked her address up that she literally wrote on the letter, which was 6440 Sycamore Pine Street, that's 5.5 miles away from that wall, so I don't believe that that particular complaint is someone that actually lives in the area. I just want to put that on for the record, because in Ward 6, being aesthetically pleasing and having beautiful trees, you guys know my whole spiel and my whole rigmarole, you went through it, and I think what you've done with your landscaping and dealing with our great neighbors, because, you know, they have big opinions out there in the Northwest, and I think you have really worked hard to please everyone. And so with that, Madam Mayor, if there's no other further questions or responses, I'd like to motion for approval.
None, I see it, so please proceed.
Okay, motion for approval.
There's a motion then to approve agenda item 58, 58A, B, and C. Please vote, and please post. Motion carries. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for all of your hard work.
Agenda item 59, 20-0272 SUP 1, special use permit, public hearing, applicant Labo Funeral Home Chapel, owner JLC Nucleus LLC, possible action, land use entitlement project request for special use permits for mortuary or funeral chapel use on 6.14 acres at 940 West Owens Avenue, C1 Limited Commercial Zone with Ward 5 with Councilman Creer. Planning Commission and staff recommend approval. This is a public hearing which I declare open. And are you the applicant or representing the applicant?
Applicant, yes, ma'am.
And your name, sir, please.
Dino, D-I-N-O, LeBeau, it's L-E-B-E-A-U. For some reason, it was misspelled on the...
Okay, now we've got it correctly. Our clerk has it, so
Thank
she's
you.
the final word on this. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the project then? please?
Yes, good morning, Madam Mayor and to the council. Seeking your approval for a funeral home right there on the west side there on Owens. I've been in the industry for about 11 years. I worked for the coroner's office, and I've picked up the deceased all over the valley. I also pastor a church right there in that same vicinity, and I just see the need. I believe that it would be an asset and a blessing there to the community there on the west side to open up a funeral home there that the majority of the people there would not have to go outside of their community to the various other funeral homes that are recently or presently servicing that area.
Fine, thank you. Are there any other, is that the old EOB building? H&O, and that's where
It's in the
SEP
same,
was.
it is in the same shopping center, right at Nucleus Plaza.
Okay.
Yeah, the Veterans Administration used to be there.
There, and I know the Economic Opportunity Board was in there, and the Concentrated Employment Program right at H&Owens. So this is very interesting that this would be, it's a public hearing. Is anyone interested in making comments before I hear from Mr. Lowenstein? Do we have any e-comments? None? Okay, I'll close public comment and turn it over to you, Mr. Lowenstein, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Staff finds the proposed mortuary or funeral chapel use meets Title 19 requirements and can be conducted in a manner that's harmonious and compatible with existing land uses within the shopping center and the surrounding area. Such, staff is recommending approval of the special use permit. Thank you.
This is not a crematorium, or is
No,
it?
that's a separate use.
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Fine, thank you very much. Any questions, comment? Okay, Councilman Creer, please.
Thank you. I don't know if, you want to go to public comment, if there's any?
I did that,
Great.
closed it.
You know, we've spoken, and we worked out some details. First, that this area is zoned for business. A lot of the, not all of the bodies will be in and out behind the building, so there won't be any traffic of that on the front part of the building, which would be facing Owens. It wouldn't disrupt, you know, end of the day, it's really about aesthetics, and not many people want to be, nobody wants to be around a funeral home, let's just call it like it is. But with that said, you know, this is an appropriate business that is supplying. You've been in the community for a long time, you know our community, you have been a good servant in our community, and we appreciate you coming in and thinking
Yes,
about
sir.
us and doing business. And we do not have a mortuary in our area, and so I think that it'll be well needed. So I'm going to make a motion for approval.
Thank you very much. Any other comments you wanted to add?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. This motion to approve.
Yeah, when you already got approval, that's the best answer.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So please vote and let's post.
Best answer.
How many does the chapel seat if they're in attendance
There will be
under
two.
normal conditions?
Yeah, there will be two separate chapels. One will seat 122. The other one will seat, I believe it's 89.
Wow.
And if there's a service that would be larger than that, my church is right down the street and it seats 500. So.
Okay, wonderful. Well, it's approved. Good luck to you.
Awesome. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item 60. I'm going to instruct the city clerk to set the public hearing dates and appeals from the City Planning Commission meetings, dangerous buildings or nuisance litter abatements, please.
Will do, thank you.
Thank you. And we're into our second public comment. Citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the City Council. No subject may be acted upon by the City Council unless the subject is on the agenda and scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, please come to the podium, give your name for the record, and the amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. This is your opportunity to address the council, but the council is not able to respond or engage in dialogue. So if there are any members of the public who wish to speak under this agenda, and we'll set the time at 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Daniel Brasted, resident of the City of Las Vegas. I have 3 items. I'm saddened with the passing of Tony Shea and the recent passing of Sheldon Adelson. I'm ticked that we don't get to listen to these millionaires and almost billionaires on a regular basis for the community. So I'd appreciate it. We open our minds up for that. I thank the council for added comments to spending $20,000 on speed bumps on item 30 and 38. I understand the need for long-range planning and budgets. These items were planned and budgeted before a pandemic. Just because it was budgeted and planned, to me, it doesn't stop delaying them. What is the status of the Hunt Ridge Theater, Ward 3? What is the status of the courtyard, Ward 5? What is the status of the pickleball courts, Ward 4? What's the status of moving the annex to City Hall? What's the status of road work on Bridger Street? They've paved it and now they're cutting it again. What's the status of the road work at Las Vegas Boulevard in Fremont, Las Vegas Boulevard in Charleston? What I'm asking is that we consider adding a step to these meetings at 10:10 where we flip through slides that are updated with these different events on it with a timeline saying it's on time, there's a problem going forward. And the slides would only need to be up for 3 seconds because it's videotaped. So if you missed it, you could catch it somewhere else. I encourage these slides to be for all of the current city projects to inform the residents what is keeping the city busy and to create an acknowledgement for everything that you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to be heard? And we do have comments. I can tell by the look on your face.
We do. Thank you, Mayor. As a daily user of the park as well as Racel and Grand Teton, please add my strong opposition to the proposed approval of carriage rides in and around the park. Aside from the cruelty to the horses having to walk on asphalt in all weather conditions, Racel is 1-2 lanes, and the potential for the dangers posed by traffic backups are impatient drivers can't be overstated. Grand Teton and Durango are both very busy and fast streets that are equally unstable for horses and carriages. With the explosion of new houses being built in the area, FLP can only become busier as new people move in, which will change the character and vibe of the park as it is. We don't need further congestion from horse-drawn carriages, and that's from L. Armstrong. The next one is, this is extremely dangerous. We have been fighting for speed control all over this area. This will directly endanger slow horses on the high-traffic streets. Cars fly at high speed in this area. This is an outdated practice and is cruel to force horses to walk and stand on asphalt for hours on end. Cars fly through Floyd Lamb Park as it is. This is not quite a rural area at all. This is busy, crowded Centennial Hills, and the horse and carriage is absurd. We do not want this at all. With more building and home construction will only be even busier. No, 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 please. From D. Barton. And then lastly from Penny Trutman. Hi, I saw a pile of cars awaiting behind a carriage on Racel. Racel is 1 lane in each direction. It's a street not meant for carriage rides. Who approved this? Our community up here also has private ranches and horses, and they do not ride on the street. Dangerous, not flouted out to the community for a vote, and should be reconsidered. Suggest you move it to a less busy street closer to the entrance of the park and keep it inside the park. There's nothing to see on a carriage ride down a city street near a high school, 2 farms, and a massive community. Thank you.
That concludes. Thank you. Okay, that will conclude the public comment. We'll move on to agenda item 62, council emerging issues. Discussion regarding potential items for future city council agendas, all wards. Any discussion must be limited to whether or not such proposed items shall be placed on a future agenda. No discussion regarding any substance of any such proposed topic shall occur. No action shall be taken. So, Mr. Cervantes, do you want to see if you have any takers here?
Certainly, Mayor. Again, this is the opportunity for City Council to talk amongst yourselves, see if you want any item to be brought forward. At the last meeting, there were several items that we're working on. I believe Mayor Pro Tem Anthony, we're shooting for the next meeting in February to try to get that item discussion going forward on the pet treatment. And so the other two we're working on, but anything you all wanted to work on, this is your opportunity to discuss amongst yourselves, give us direction.
Goodness, this is a happy, contented council at this moment. And just in listening to that suggestion, I don't know if our Public Information Office can include some of those slides. I think it might be a nice thing to know if they put in where are we with those items that were brought up, what's the progress, who knows, on a parking structure or these apartments, what are we doing? Just a current look at what's happening in the city.
Mayor, to address that, we switched over to a new software system for our capital management program. Part of the component was that it would be live for the public to be able to log into the Public Works website online and see the status of all our projects. Let me follow up, see if that's alive now, or are we still trying to finish that up so we make that live?
Wonderful. I think that's a great idea. So considering that there are none, I would then we'll move on to our city council, council member participation. And, whoops. So I don't remember where we started last time, but council member recognition, comments made by individual council members during this portion of the agenda will not be acted upon by the council unless the subject's on the agenda and scheduled for action. I know everybody wants to say something, so we'll start with you this time, Councilwoman Fiore. We'll go right, and then we'll go to Mayor Pro Tem and go left. You're the end.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
All right, so our first slide, I just want to, number one, that's the wrong slide. That's the second slide. So Jeff, there's our first slide. Okay, so I just want, just this morning, our 46th president, Joe Biden, and our first female vice president was sworn in, and I would like to congratulate them and wish them the best of luck for the next 4 years. They say that the third time is a charm, and President Biden has been running for the White House since 1987, so a big congratulations is in order for him. Next slide. And I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to President Trump and Vice President Pence for 4 years of excellence. During the last 4 years, we have seen America gain 7 million new jobs with unemployment rates of 3.5%, the lowest in a half a century. President Trump has facilitated industry, which led to more than 1.2 million manufacturing and construction jobs and passed one of the largest tax cuts in recent history. I cannot be more proud of President Trump's focus on a strong national policy and efforts of cutting red tape and removing burdensome regulations on American companies. Whether it be from replacing NAFTA with the USMCA, renegotiating the United States-Korea Free Trade Agreement, doubling the cap on imports of American vehicles, and extending American light traffic truck tariff, or leading the way to renewing America's energy independence. History will remember President Trump as one of our greatest presidents. Thank you, President Trump, Vice President Pence, and his administration for putting the United States first prioritizing the American people and being a beacon of conservative values. It is my hope that our new administration, President Biden, and our Vice President, first female Vice President Harris, can maintain the framework and high standards which President Trump has led, and that the Biden administration will keep putting the American people first, hold the same standards of helping industry, not stifling, and maintain free and fair national trade. However, most importantly, let us hope that this presidency is not to be subjected to the same unfairness and unwarranted attacks which President Trump had to endure all 4 years. Our next slide. We are looking for Todd. Todd is only 16 years old. He is 5'6", 130 pounds. His eyes are blue, his hair is brown. He is Caucasian, and he's last seen here in Vegas. So please, if you know where Jacob Todd is, please call Metro at 702-828-3111 or Nevada Child Seekers at 702-458-7009. Please help us find Jacob. We are also looking for Jonessa Lewis. She's 16 years old. She has brown eyes, light brown hair. She is biracial. She was last seen in the area of Henderson. Please, if anyone knows where Jonessa is, please call our Henderson Police at 702-267-5000 or Nevada Child Seekers at 702-458-7009. Then we have our Great Corridor of Hope story, our homeless success stories. I know that kind of sounds weird, but I'm actually going to have to fire Chance again, Madam Mayor. Actually, I found it. I was going to send him to your office. We're going to talk about Joseph today, and in September, our courtyard staff met with Joseph, a 69-year-old man who had been experiencing homelessness due to the issues with his previous elderly care facility. Joseph was receiving disability benefits but had not been in contact with his payee for a significant period of time. Staff assisted the client with contacting the Social Security Administration and learned that his representative payee had reported him as a missing person. The courtyard staff helped Joseph in contacting his payee, and they are now working on placing him in a new care environment. In addition, staff assisted in obtaining a personal cell phone for Joseph so that he can contact his payee when needed. I can't say enough about our Corridor of Hope staff, how much they help people and go above and beyond all situations. So I just want to thank our staff for taking care of our homeless. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And Councilman Knutson, please.
Thank you very much, Mayor. There's a lot going on in Ward 1, and this Saturday, our Ward 1 residents will have the opportunity to join our team at the monthly park cleanup. If you'll remember, we did several of those last year. We're going to continue to finish up all of the parks in Ward 1. Next week, we'll be at Cragen and Rotary Park to pick up trash with our partners at Get Outdoors Nevada. They have an amazing volunteer program called Volunteer in Parks, also known as the VIP program. And we're happy to join them this Saturday at 9 a.m. to help clean up the park. And if anyone's interested in volunteering, please reach out to Get Outdoors Nevada at volunteer@getoutdoorsnevada.org. And Mayor, we typically have like 20 to 40 people show up. It's a super good opportunity to talk to people as you're picking up trash. So, and my kids love to go and play in the playground while I'm there. So it's a fun thing for me. And second, Mayor, in the last council meeting, we talked about the book drive, and you were generous in your support for the program, and the city staff have been working great with my team on setting up a system to routinely collect books for the seniors in my ward, and I'm sure it'll spill over to other wards as well. So for those who are interested in donating, you can still donate. You can reach out to me or anyone from my team at ward1@lasvegasnevada.gov. And we're also providing bookmarks for the because it's a fun thing to do. So we're doing that too. And finally, Mayor, for anyone who wants to contact us, we've had lots of requests over the last couple of weeks regarding the vaccine, graffiti, to speed humps, to a whole bunch of other things that people call us for. So feel free to reach out to us. My cell is 493-1547. Or you can Facebook us or email us or whatever is best for you. So thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Diaz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I too want to wish everyone a happy Inauguration Day. I did come across this quote from former President Abraham Lincoln, and I thought it was so timely. So I just would like to share it. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds. And so I hope that we can move forward together, because I think that we are stronger together when all of us work towards improving our communities and the places we live and we love. So I also think that today's inauguration was momentous for a lot of little girls, seeing the very first vice president sworn in to that White House. And so I, as a female leader, feel especially proud that another glass ceiling has been shattered, and all of our little girls that have been dreaming of becoming the next president kind of see it one step closer. So keep going at it, girls. We can do it. Upcoming Ward 3 activities, again, the pop-ups, we firmed up, last time we told you dates that we had in the mix, now we have locations, so January 26th will be at Valley High School, 8 to 11, February 9th, Desert Pines High School, 8 to 11, February 13th, El Dorado High School, 8 to 2, that will be on a weekend, so we're expecting to serve more families with more food. February 16th, my alma mater, Rancho High School, as I know it's also the alma mater to our city attorney, Proud Rams. So we'll be there at Rancho High School on the 16th. And February 23rd at O'Callahan Middle School, 8 to 11. Again, it's contactless, it's 40 pounds of fresh food, it's free and open to all of those that may need it. So please feel free to share this information with any neighbor or any friend that you know needs it. Thank you to the Culinary Academy of Las Vegas for this partnership. We have been inspired by Councilman Knudsen and his effort to leave our environment cleaner, and so we're like, let's get our sleeves rolled up too in Ward 3 to make our parks beautiful. So we are going to start our initiative of making our green spaces beautiful as of February. So our first date is Saturday, February 6th. Please save the date, 9 a.m. to 11, and we're going to work on the US 95 trail, which is located at 21st Street in Marlin. Wanted to make sure that all of our seniors know about our utility tax sewer rebate program, especially when money is very tight and our seniors are in need. Just don't let this opportunity go by for you. If you are a senior 60 years of age or older with a taxable income of less than $16,500 if single, or less than $18,900 if married or head of household, we can help you, bring you much needed relief, and especially that tax sewer bill that you get every year. So you can reach out to your nearest community center. It's citywide. Here in Ward 3, it would be Stupak Community Center, 702-229-2488. And if you need assistance at East Las Vegas Community Center, 702-229-1515. And it's not only sewer rebates, we could potentially connect you to savings on your electric, gas, or even phone bill. So please don't let this opportunity go by. And there is a deadline through March 15th, so time is of the essence. Wanted to let everybody know that now our seniors that are 70 years of age and older can book an appointment to get the vaccination against COVID-19. So please, 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 I know that I've had to be diligent in trying that website. Sometimes they're overwhelmed and they're not taking any appointments, but just try every couple of hours or every day or so. And the website is covid.southernnevadahealthdistrict.org/vaccine. So if your loved one needs it, that is 70 years of age or older, know that it is available to you. I'm very proud that we had this as a city, this vision that once we had the vaccination, that we could stand up a deployment center, and Cashman Center is one of the sites that are currently offering the vaccination, aside from the Health District and others like UNLV and CSN Henderson campus. Attention artists, Nevada artists have until January 29th to apply for the Nevada Arts Council grants, Artist Relief Grant Program. So we know that our arts community have been disproportionately impacted due to COVID-19. So if you know artists, if you know folks who could use this much needed grant, please share this information, and they can find out more about it at www.nevadaartscouncil.org. As usual, we're here. I incorporated a map just so that you kind of can visually see where Ward 3 is, and we're here at your service, Ward 3 at lasvegasnevada.gov, or you can message us or contact us via any social media platform. I know Facebook is a popular one, or Instagram. So we're here to serve you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Creer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're going to start with the Mob Museum. The Mob Museum, which is the National Museum of Organized Crime and Law Enforcement, launched a self-guided audio tour taking guests on an auditory journey through and beyond the museum's 4 floors of exhibits. This new resource provides an eye-opening deep dive into some of MOB's history, most fascinating events and personalities. There's an 85-minute tour that allows guests to select the length of their experience with the ability to start or stop at any time. If you are interested, please call 702-229-2734 or visit themodmuseum.org. We also turn to another highlight in our award. The Neon Museum is open from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. most days. Tickets are limited for social distancing to protect the well-being of guests and employees, and the museum is also offering a virtual tour which allows visitors to move more freely around the museum in a virtual scan. So for more information, contact the neonmuseum.org or you can call 387-6366. The Southern Nevada Health District, as was mentioned by Councilman Diaz, is COVID-19 vaccination testing is available through the Health District. For more information on testing locations and COVID vaccine schedule, visit the southernnevadahealthdistrict.org. Our 7th annual African American Trailblazers event is January the 26th. The city of Las Vegas has been hosting events in celebration of Black History Month for 42 years. The 7th annual African American Trailblazers Service Awards will be held as a virtual free event Tuesday, January 26th at 9 p.m. The awards will honor residents of the Las Vegas Valley who have outstanding civic accomplishments and have made significant contributions to the Las Vegas community. If you would like to participate, online registration is open. Visit www.livestream.com/City of Las Vegas /. Don't forget, you can always contact and get in touch with us in our newsletter. We're constantly working to provide updates on city services, COVID-19 updates and happenings in and around the ward. If you want to receive the newsletter, contact my office, 702-229-5443. You can always send an email to Tanya, tjackson@lasvegasnevada.gov. And our social media channels, Twitter, Cedric Career, Instagram, Councilman Career, and Councilman Cedric Career. But I also want to just take one moment to recognize the inauguration of the 46th President, Joe Biden. Congratulations. And then the historic nomination of the, not nomination, but the swearing in of the 49th Vice President of the United States, who happens to be the first African-American woman to take that position. It is historic on so many levels, considering that the first slave arrived on the shores of the United States in 1619, and to see her rise to this position is absolutely amazing. She happens to be a graduate of Howard University, like myself. She's a Bison, and I know that everybody at the Mecca is extremely proud of her, and she also happens to be a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, which is our sister sorority for Alpha Phi Alpha, which are both of the first collegiate fraternity and sororities in the history of our university. So congratulations to them. It is a momentous occasion, and I can't begin to tell you how proud we are of her. And it shows that to all women and to all girls that you can be what you want to be in life. And so this just reiterates that. So congratulations to both of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Seaman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I, too, would also like to congratulate the new administration, and I pray that their leadership unites our country. And I'd also like to thank President Donald Trump for the work that he's done. So now I'd like to talk about our small business. It has become so popular, so anybody out there in Ward 2 that has a business, please contact my office and we will feature you on our social media. You can contact us at the office at 702-229-2420 or at ward2@lasvegasnevada.gov. There are some pets that are really needing adoption. So if you're looking for a pet, please check them out before you go anywhere else. We have 2 little dogs that, well, they are bonded, so they want to adopt them out together. We first have Castor and then Pollux. And once again, they're must be from the same family, and they would like to adopt them out together. I'm showing you pets that really need homes right away. They've been at the Animal Foundation for a while, and they are just adorable. We also have Mango, who's a spayed 4-year-old 10-pound cat. Is that a lot of weight for a cat? That's a big cat, right? Yeah. And he or she, let's see, female, she's adorable. Then we have Ethel, a spayed 11-year-old cat who's about 9 pounds. And so they take really good care of them over at the Animal Foundation.
I dare say.
So please, don't hesitate to call them or email them if you're looking for a particular pet or you like any of the ones that you see that we feature after council. So the phone number for the adoption department is 702-955-5901, and the email is adoptions@animalfoundation.com. You can always call my office if you need help getting through to the Animal Foundation, or if you have an issue in Ward 2. If you have another issue and you live in Ward 2 that doesn't pertain to the city, we can always help facilitate your call or your issue to where it needs to go. So please call my office. I have a great staff at 702-229-2420, or email us at ward2@lasvegasnevada.gov. We'd also love for you to keep in contact with what's happening in Ward 2 by following us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Victoria D. Seaman. And hopefully Parlor will find a new home, and you can stay in touch with us at Victoria Seaman. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And so, being a nonpartisan, parts of me are just really excited today as we begin and welcome our 46th president, and as everyone has mentioned, Vice President Kamala Harris, who's representing so much for the future and for us all. But I look back over the 4 years, you can't say they were dull. We've certainly been through a lot this last year with the pandemic, but I look for the good in people, and I see an awful lot of good that we had come out of the past 4 years. And so it's wonderful to be alive and be part of everything that we envision for our city. And I really am so thankful for our council and our staff that really helps to push us forward with new ideas, and as you heard today with Mayor Pro Tem, what we're doing there, they're just wonderful, wonderful advantages. This morning at 8 o'clock, we had support from Silver Summit Health Plan, a company that's only been in existence for 3 years, that gave us a van that we can move our homeless and recently released from hospital homeless people for service and meetings and health clinics that they might need, and that was wonderful, a $50,000 all-purpose van to help us with this wonderful population that we have the ability to serve. I mentioned when Councilman Creer talked about the museums in his ward that Rob Roy, who's been the head of the CEO of the Neon Museum, the Boneyard, is sadly retiring. So anyone who has interest in that, I know they'd be looking for what a beautiful, fabulous, only in Las Vegas museum. McCoy, what did I say? Rob, oh my goodness, he's from Switch. No, he's way too young, but I'm not sure. Rob McCoy, oh yeah, you're on top of me. Oscar always fills in. I'm Roger Dangerfield all the time because my brain works forward. Also, what we have forgotten to mention too was our Las Vegas old Las Vegas High School, but the Arts Academy has sent a mariachi band to perform this morning. And so unfortunately, because we were all so busy in here, I didn't get to see them, but I'm sure we'll get an opportunity. Our mariachi bands throughout our middle schools and high schools are phenomenal. So I'm just happy. In fact, I think one of the State of the Cities in my husband's prior term, we had one of those bands play, and they're just fabulous. Also, on a very hard side, of course, you know that we lost Erwin Mulaski, who really, we see this wonderful Muni Court building that's going to be opening soon. When is that going to be? Do we know, Mr. Cervantes?
Mayor, we're looking at moving into the building around March.
Around March, so keep an eye on that. But he passed away, and I think we're dedicating a portion of a street to him. but he's done so much for our whole community, starting with the Sunrise Hospital and, of course, hospice, so much else. And then we lost Tony Shea, and following Tony, who's been so impactful here, Sheldon Adelson. So great people, and then just a week ago, Siegfried of Siegfried and Roy, a wonderful, generous soul who's left such a legacy. And then lawyers, attorneys, Bill Terry, who is a friend to so many, and Gary Logan just this past week, and then all those who we've lost from COVID. So there's a lot to be thankful for, that we can work off of the pain and move forward and do something purposeful and kind and good with our lives moving forward. We are going to be... Pardon?
Could I also interject here and just, I don't recall if we paid our respects to Senator Joe Neal, who was just put to rest this past weekend. So
Right.
A lot of thoughts with the Neal family, and he is a giant also of our community. So I just wanted to make sure we didn't lose sight of honoring
that's
his life.
wonderful. I mean, absolutely, and I do remember touring him over at SEP on H and Owens, and he and I spent a great deal of time. Unfortunately, we have Dina Neal, who's continuing in the legislature. But so many things that are occurring, but such opportunity for us all to do something. And when you look back in history, those who've gone before us did it for a reason, to create the next generation and work for the next generation. So it falls to us to take that banner forward and do something positive in their memories. And I couldn't be grateful for all these people who we, in our own way, celebrate and thank for everything. But looking forward to what we're able to do. We do have our next City Council meeting on the 3rd of February, and tomorrow we are going to be celebrating at Neonopolis the opening of Haterade. I'm not sure, this sounds, they're T-shirts that you can make, much like what is on Channel 5, the Rant, where you can really go ahead and say something, as long as it's passable on TV. So we've we have, as we look to this next administration in the 4 years, and maybe 8 years, but certainly 4, how can we help to make it better? And so all the differences, put them aside and look forward, be grateful for every day that you have, and know that our marshals and Tim Hacker really were very responsive today to helping us prepare in case we had issues as a result of the inauguration, but I think we all felt very comfortable, and I had no fear at all. I just think people live in our community, not those that come in and go out, but the people that really are part of our living community know what it means to live in Las Vegas and be a family of people working together, even with different viewpoints. So I want to thank them, and of course forever our planning and our public servants and our IT and everyone, our clerk and clerk staff. Just be very, very grateful. We're a team of people, and certainly Mr. Cervantes is our city manager, has a calming way about him that really keeps us focused. So we're looking forward to getting this COVID behind us and getting back to where we really can give the community all they can handle. So I want to thank you all, Tom Perigo, Mr. Lewis, obviously Mr. Scott, whose eyes I can see. He sits right there, so he's always in my eyesight to do not do anything that's untoward here. So thank you all, and thank you our marshals, thank you City Council, and let's move forward and make this really sensational for Las Vegas. Thank you, Council. We stand adjourned.